I push the button. Hello, I am Luke. Tonight is a live stream. That's all I got. That's my intro, folks. We're hanging out. I'm answering questions. We're chilling. It's Friday night. I feel a little bit goofy tonight. So, you know, tonight might be a little weird. I see all bunch of red questions in the sheet. You're like, my moderators are tempting me to answer those questions. Wow. You need to have it in like bright lights. Get my attention more. Okay, so yeah, throw questions in the chat, you know, hashtag question, all caps, and I'll answer questions and stuff. I am sleazy, so super chats, get your questions to the beginning of the line. If you throw money at me, I feel morally obligated to answer your questions sooner and not make you wait. I'm just throwing that out there. All of your money we put to good use. I will buy cat toys and jet skis. I don't know. I don't have a jet ski. I don't even go to the lake. We don't even go to the lake. You know what? We're gonna make a new goal. Get me a jet ski. I told you I was feeling weird tonight. Okay, so let's hit some sleazy plugs, and then we're gonna get into it. The first thing is today is the last day that you can buy passes to LairCon 2021. If you don't know what LairCon 2021 is, you haven't been watching my videos on my channel. Basically, we have a convention going on next week down in Texas. There's a link right there. Thank you. I hope that pops up. I hope Stream Elements does its work and throws that link up there. Yeah, somebody yell at me if it doesn't. Basically, there it is. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Today's the last day to buy passes. It's next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I will be there. Many members of the DM Lair team will be there. We'll be running games. There's still some slots open for the premium games where you can run with my crew. And there's a couple spots open for a game where you play with me, the VIP passes. So jump in on that. Tonight's the last night. Ticket sales will close tomorrow. I'm literally going in there and closing them down. So that's it. Yeah, so it's gonna be pretty cool. We're gonna play some D&D and stuff. We got panels. We got different folks coming in. I just heard from Alan from the Dungeon Coach channel, and he said he might be there. He might be there. He lives in Texas, so like I've been telling him, I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? Come on, drive over here. Come on, we can TPK some people together. So anyway, he might be there. We'll see. No promises. So come on, come fun. It's good. It's very, very fun. All right, next thing, I got cats. My cats want their treats. Next thing we're gonna do is I am currently trying to raise money for, hold on a second, boys. Here we go. My cats are climbing all over me. Like, they don't understand that I'm trying to run a stream here. Look at her. You can see her head. She's pawing at me. What's up, mommy? she wants me to pet her. I'm like, I'm trying to work, and she's like, I don't care. I want my kisses. This is Mommy 1. That's her name. She has no other name. We have a Mommy 2, which is why we have a Mommy 1 and a Mommy 2. Whoa, okay, whatever. Anyway, I'm trying to raise money for the Boys and Girls Club of Lansing. These folks basically have, you could call it an after school program, basically. Kids after school from, like, you know, I don't know, low income areas and stuff have a place where they can go after school. They get help with homework. They have like a STEM program there. Lots of cool things for them to be involved in and participate in that's going to help them in their lives, as opposed to, like, I don't know, whatever the option is otherwise. So it's very, very cool. I'm trying to raise a bunch of money for them. My goal is $500 for these folks. We are currently at $75. And so everything you donate, once we get to 500, I'm going to throw a bunch of money at these people. The last charity we donated to was the Humane Society, the Capital Area Humane Society, close to where I live here. And we gave them $585. So very, very cool. So anyway, if you want to donate, if you want to help out kids and stuff and what these folks are doing, then please tip. Feel free to tip. It must be a tip. I think there should have been a chat. There should have been a link in chat somewhere if you want to donate. So no obligations, obviously. It's just charity. I'm not buying jet skis with the money, folks. Like, now we don't trust you, Luke. Oh crap. Ugh. I just eroded my own trust in my brand. This is horrible. Okay, one last thing, and then we're gonna actually do the questions. Every live stream, I thank all of my awesome, wonderful patrons who give me their patronage, that's called money, to help me do all the things that I do for folks. It helps me to make all the videos for you. It helps me to create all of the content that I put on my website for free, all of the DM resources. It helps me make Lair magazine, which is a premium D&D resource that my patrons get every single month. So I'm very, very appreciative to these folks and their support. They're very, very, very awesome people. And these people here, these 87 people here, get their names read off because they support even more. They're like, Luke, we're gonna pay you just to read our names. Go. All right, 5e Magic Shop, Aaron, Aerospatial, Alex, two Alexes, Amanda, Anthony, Arutha, Beoban, Brad, Brandon, Brian, I can't read, Candy Sora, Chad, Chase, Chris, Cody B, Connor, Contrary Gravy, Dalius, David, DJ Assassin, Dragon Demon, Drexus, Dresna, Dylan, Ed, R, Edward, L, Endorian72, Ericos, Fallon, Frank C, Gary, Goliath Cleric, Heretic, Hydra Slayer, Illspawn, Izzy T, Jacob S, Jake L, James L, Jessica J, Joshin B, Joel L, John N, Jonathan S, Jorel, Joe Josue B, Joseph H, Josh G, Joshua G, Josue S, Justin N, Kale S, KL, Ken S, Kevin F, Kevin P, Kazadis, Kirby, Kyle M, Kiriako, Labraworks, Leopold X92, Lodwick V, Lord Kemiak, Lori S, Lost to Real Life, Maelstrom, Michael C, Michael H, Mr. Lin Canoe, Mr. T, Mumbles Not a Bard, Owen D, Patrick A, Paul B, Paul R, Paul Y, Penguin Butt, Pierre P, published author, Rachel S, Radiance, Guardians, Ramsey M, Rasilic, Race W, Rebecca K, Rainer C, Rob B, Ron H, I didn't know if that was an N or a B there, Ryan G, maybe a C, I don't know my vision, I need to take a vision test apparently, Sakura, Shane L, Simon, Smash Skull, Snapbragger, Son of a Sofa Man, Sophie M, Stetson H, Stephen A, Stephen F, Tactical Tokens, the old DM, Talking Napkin, The Pickle, The Casual Nerd, Theta Tag, Tiger 500, Tim Black, Todd M, Tony, Tom, and then Tony, Trevor G, Tristan W, Tyler N, Tyler R, Xavier H, Zack. Woo! Thank you, folks. I appreciate it. That's the hardest thing I'm gonna do tonight is read that list. Everything now is just like smooth sailings. Everything's gonna be easy. Wow, that was challenging. Make a rap album? Yeah, that's me rapping. I can't pronounce stuff. How am I gonna rap? I think being able to, like, you know, pronounce and enunciate stuff is probably a prerequisite of rapping, my guess. Lord God, thank you for the 552 super chat, dude. I appreciate that. Love the content. Ketchup or mustard? Mustard. I think it was probably about 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Okay, here's the story. Throughout most of my life, I would say, okay, let's just say all of my life, the only type of mustard I have ever had was just the normal mustard, the very cheap mustard, you know, that is common. I haven't had any specialty mustards, the spicy brown mustard, all that kind of stuff. I'd never had any of that. And then it was about 2 years ago or so. It was before the pandemic, about 2 years ago. I went over to a friend's house to play Magic. I think it was Cody. Cody is his name. And sometimes he comes around here. Anyway, Cody, I went over to your house with John and some other people to play Magic. And you had some like bratwursts or something. And then the only topping, I think, was like this spicy brown mustard. And I was like, oh man. So I was like, whatever. I put it on there. Holy crap. It was amazing. Like it was like, my eyes were open. I'm like, spicy brown mustard. This stuff is amazing. Holy crap. So now I love spicy brown mustard. And I don't really eat a lot of sandwiches, like hardly ever. But whenever I do, I put spicy brown mustard on it. So yeah, there you go. There's my mustard story, dude. I'm not a very cultured person. I wasn't aware of that mustard until, 2 years ago. Every stream becomes a food stream. Hey, just look at the fans. They want the food. They want me to talk about mustard. What do you want me to do? It's gonna be like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna talk about dirt. Yeah. I don't eat a lot of sandwiches. It's like a lot of bread and stuff, you know. What constitutes a lot of my meals is about a quarter of the plate is just like chicken or a steak or ribs or something, some sort of meat. And then the other quarter of the plate is a legume, usually like, what are those things called? Beans, but there's something else too. What are those things called? Lentils. I eat crap tons of lentils and beans, so that's like a quarter of the plate. And then the other half of the Squeaky, I swear, keep biting me. He's just down here biting me. Squeaky, stop it. The other half of the plate is usually like a salad. That's a lot of my meals. I also like, you know what? Let's stop talking about food. I have that for breakfast. Oh, it's so delicious. And I put barbecue sauce on it and like Thousand Island dressing. Oh, it's delicious. All right, let's do the question stuff. What has been your highlight while running Curse of Strahd? Why was that such a highlight for you? I think the scene or the episode I probably enjoyed the most was when Stefan had his eyes ripped out by that crazy doll, and then he was blind and he couldn't see. That episode was awesome. Amazingly awesome. I loved that. And then they had to figure out, and this is where you're like, I didn't plan for that. I didn't know the doll was actually going to be able to rip his eyes out. I didn't know it would succeed. And afterwards, I'm like, this dude's blind. He's a spellcaster. He's pretty much useless now. And the party's like trying to decide what they're going to do to like help Stefan see again, because right now he's like dead weight. He can't do anything as a spellcaster, because you know, if you can't see as a spellcaster, you're screwed. So at that point, the players were like, well, what are we gonna do? We can go ask the bishop for help. He's insane. He owes us one, but he's insane. What else? We can go to like, they had some other places they were brainstorming about what they could possibly, maybe a priest. We could find a priest, you know, that could heal him. And I don't know why they think that, because every priest they've run into in Barovia has been super weak. So I don't know why they think that there's suddenly going to be some like crazy powerful priest just walking around ready to heal them and do regeneration on the guy's, it's got 8th level spell or something on his eyes. So I don't know why they sometimes think they're going to find a priest to heal him. It's almost like either they're hoping that's a possibility, or they're like, well, Luke maimed us, so would Luke not also put a solution in the game? No, not necessarily. So I don't know why they sometimes think that. But anyway, what they decided to do, there was a group of 3. There was an old lady who was selling meat pies, pastries, dream pastries to little children, or to the parents and stuff of children. And for some reason they thought that this kind old lady was a hag and stuff, and so they didn't like her. But I don't know why they got that impression. Yeah. Anyway, so they were like, well, we could go talk to her. Maybe she could help Stefan get his eyes back. And so that's what they did. They went and talked to the hag at the windmill. Found out that there were more than one hag. I only ever described them as old ladies. You know, I mean, obviously they were pretty evil and doing bad things, but my players are like, oh, they're hags. Anyway, so they go back there, and the idea is somehow to get the old lady, Morgantha, to restore Stefan's eyesight. And so I'm like, okay, let's roll with this. Let's see if we can come up with something. And so at the end of the day, Stefan ends up making a deal with Morgantha whereby she restores his sight, but there's like strings attached, like bad strings attached. And I was like having a really good night with just like describing things well, where things were kind of flowing. You know, when you're in like the flow, you're in the zone, and like everything is just working really well. And so like I was describing like the whole scene about the ritual she was performing when she literally ripped her own eyes out and put them in Stefan, and then Stefan could see again. And I described it, and I was just doing, it was I liked it because I felt like I did a really good job of describing stuff that night. And sometimes you're in the zone, sometimes it's kind of so-so. You know, you have good nights and bad nights. So I liked it for that reason. I like the whole I like the whole thing too, whereby something totally unpredictable happened in the game. Stefan couldn't see, and the players had to figure out how to solve that and go forward. And they came up with a crazy idea that worked with heavy strings attached. And so now Stefan has some serious things going on in his life that are not good. He essentially has made like a blood pact with, like, you know, a hag. So that was cool. That was a really cool. That whole little situation was cool. It wasn't planned, and no idea it was gonna go there. And when they were deciding what to do, and they decided to go to the hags to like get his sight back, I didn't plan any of that. So you just kind of like, you're kind of going on the seat of your pants, feeling things out as you go. And I think it turned out really cool at the end of the day. So that's probably my highlight from Curse of Strahd, my opinion. Do you believe in the idea that monsters should never attack first? No, not really. I believe in role-playing monsters. That's what I believe in. I believe in two things. One, role-playing monsters, but two, it's a game. So sometimes you're going to role-play a monster to true fidelity, how it should be role-played. Other times you need to acknowledge the fact that you're running a game. And some things aren't fun in a game. So there's a balance between the two, the role-playing and the meta of acknowledging that it's a game and running it like a game. So sometimes I do have monsters simply attack. When I feel it makes sense to do so, they just attack. They attack you. Because why? Because that's realistic, right? But if it always happens, then you have a lame, boring game where the monsters always attack and there's never any opportunity for resolving an encounter in any other way. So my preference is, when it makes sense, and sometimes when it doesn't, and I feel like I just need to acknowledge the fact that it's a game and just have it run that way. But anyway, when it makes sense, I try to not have monsters attack first. I try to give the players an opportunity to respond to the situation in a way that is different than just fighting something. So if the players kick down a door and behind the door there are 3 goblins, the goblins look at the players who have weapons in hands and stuff. The goblins don't rip their swords out, rush forward and attack. Instead, the goblins grab the sword hilts. What are you doing here? And they wait. That right there tells the players the goblins are ready to attack, but they haven't yet. And we can still interact with them. We can still talk to them. We might come up with some sort of excuse why we're here. Oh yeah, your boss, he sent for us because there's some nasty things down in your dungeon that need dealing with, and he didn't want to send all of you guys to your deaths. So we're here, we're gonna clean up the vermin. Can you show us the way to your boss? You know, it probably won't work, because in my opinion, like, I think big bad bosses are probably gonna tell all of their minions, hey, you know, it's a thing. It just happens to be a thing where adventurers are gonna kick down doors, and then they're gonna come up with really weird excuses to have you take them directly to me, so that they don't have to fight all of you. Like, this is gonna happen, right? Like, this is every morning they have like a big bad guy get together, and the boss gets up on a dais and he's talking to them and he's like, okay, remember guys, if anybody kicks down the doors, if you ever find any people here that are intruding and they tell you to take them directly to me, remember, they're lying to you. Remember, it's a ruse. Attack them, or make them give all your weapons to them and take the staff away from the wizard and turn out their pockets, you know, like, make sure, you know, it's like this is like a team huddle every morning where the bad guys have to explain to the goblins, don't be morons, right? Because this happens all the time, trust me. So I'm going on a weird tangent. Anyway, my point is, give the players an opportunity to resolve an encounter through a means besides just combat. If they do end up attacking, they do end up attacking. Now, what you sometimes have happening, though, of course, is the goblins won't attack first, right? They'll just be ready to attack, and then the players will be like, blah, 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 blah. And then one player is like, I cast Fireball. And then that player will be like, well, you know, do I get a free attack on them because they were just standing there waiting? Does my spell go off before they can do anything? It's like, no, They were aware of your presence. It doesn't work that way, dude. It doesn't work that way. So that's the only downside to that. That's come up several times, and players will be like, "Whoa, do we get to it?" No, it doesn't work that way. They're aware of your presence. You don't get free attacks on them. Like the only way you get it that they're surprised is if they are not aware of your presence at all, and then you attack them. But since you're all standing there having a conversation, they are aware of your presence. They are not going to be surprised. You don't get a free round to attack them just because you declared you were going to attack first. It doesn't work that way. So that's the only thing that I've routinely had come up, is that players will ask about that, and I'm just like, no, it doesn't work that way, dude. Okay, answered. That is a red question. That's a red question too. I knew somebody was going to ask about the 2024 edition update for D&D. What do we know about that? D&D new edition. Do we know anything about that? Like what information has even been released? Like what have they told us? Do we have any information about it? Did they tell us anything concrete at all? Whatever, go away. What have they actually told us? The next evolution will release in 2024. They're really doubling down on this, not wanting to call it a name. It's the next evolution. Do you guys remember when D&D first came out? Like when D&D 5th edition first came out, it wasn't called 5th edition. It was called D&D Next, right? And then everybody and their grandma called it D&D 5th edition. And yet still the official folks are like, no, it's D&D Next, D&D Next. It took like what, 8 years of people calling it 5th edition for people like, you know, with official titles to finally call it 5th edition. But now we're back to where we started. It's the next evolution. Is it 5.5? Is it 6? What is it? Well, of course it's gonna cost you more money, dude. They're a company. They have to make money. If they don't make money, they go out of business. If they don't make money, Hasbro shuts them down. People in suits make decisions. Like, they have to make revenue. They got to turn a profit. If they don't, our hobby goes away. So I'm all for them making smart business decisions that help them make money. I support that 100%. They have to do that. Otherwise, we have no game to play. That's just the reality of the situation. Yeah, I don't think that they even told us anything. There's no guarantee of a 6th edition. The upcoming new release will include new versions of Dungeons & Dragons core rulebooks, such as the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Player's Handbook, and will be the next evolution of the game. Now, I did hear, though, that it's supposed to be backwards compatible. Like, it's supposed to, the new stuff they come out with is still supposed to work with the current 5th edition rule set. So that to me kind of says 5.5. That's what I would say about that. If it were a 6th edition, it wouldn't be backwards compatible. It's a tease. It's a tease. They didn't really give us any information because they want us to speculate. They want people to be like, oh, what is it? What is it? And then everybody's making videos. Every YouTuber and their mom is like, let's make a video about 5.5. And then everybody's watching the YouTube videos about 5.5 and 6th edition. Like, those videos are already coming out and they'll come out next week. They'll be all over the place. You know, let's get some people like speculating and raising up the hype and stuff, and then they're gonna be like, well, you didn't tell us anything. Tell us more. Tell us more. And then Wizards is gonna, like, you know, leak out a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. You know, I mean, it's, yeah, you get people hyped. Yep, here it is. Will be completely compatible with the existing releases. Would take into account feedback from players and community collected via surveys. That's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of. There are certain things, certain directions that they are going that I do not like. I'll just say that. So this is when you make decisions based upon the vocal minority, the quiet majority tends to object. Next year, we'll have plenty to say about these new books and what they mean for D&D. So next year, we have to wait till next year. I have another cat. So they haven't really said anything. Oh, what's the difference between each? Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Whatever. That's it. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I don't think anything more than that has been said. I watched one video, and there was no more information besides that said. I haven't watched any other videos about the announcement, so I don't think we know anything more. Yeah, that's pretty much it. 5.5 is subscription based. Gear comes from loot boxes. Oh, I hate loot boxes. I hate loot boxes. Oh my gosh. The ones where you don't know what you're getting, it's just a random contents. I hate that garbage. Now, some people like it. My buddy Joe loves the miniatures that come in the boxes, and you don't know which miniatures you're gonna get because he doesn't know what miniatures he wants. So he just buys the boxes and he gets a surprise, and he likes that. So I know there are people that do like that, but that's not for me. I want to know what I'm buying. Next year we'll have plenty to say. Well, lots of publishers can say that. I know. I'm like, you guys, in 2002, what is it? 2022, I'm going to be doing a Kickstarter. I'm going to have more to say in January. That's like, you guys, I'm going to revolutionize my YouTube channel. I'm going to start doing completely different videos. It's going to be amazing. I'll have more to say in a couple years, but just wait. Random content in capsules is super popular here in Japan. Cool. Yeah, it might. That's why. Is it the culture? Something about the culture then where they like that? I'm assuming. I don't know how popular it is here. In all honesty, I know I don't like them, but I know people do. No, I don't read homebrew stuff. I don't review homebrew stuff for folks. I just can't do that. Sorry. You could probably go to my Discord and put it in the homebrew area there, and there might be other people there that'll be willing to look at some stuff, but I can't do that. Sorry. All right, let's go back to the sheet. All right, I answered that question. Those are my thoughts on the 2024 update. What are you gonna think? There's nothing to think. We weren't told anything. Thoughts on D&D 5.5 and Fizbane's Treasures finally giving us a book similar to the Dragamonomicon. I don't have Fizbane's Treasures. Has Fizbane's Treasures been released yet? Has that come out yet? Is that in the future? They're releasing so many books now, I can't keep track of things. I'm just like, oh, well, I don't know. I don't know what's coming out. There's too many books. I think that was pretty much a similar question. It's in the future? Okay. All right, cool. I think I had 2 books on pre-order at my local game shop. If there's an alternate cover, I get the alternate cover. One was the Witchlight thingy or whatever, the Fae thing. And then I think Fizbangs was the other one that I had on pre-order. And then the Witchlight Fae thingy has been in for like a week. I have to go get it at some point, but I have to drive there, and that's stupid. so I don't know when I'm gonna pick it up. I should actually email the guy. Can you ship it to me? I'll pay you to ship it to me so I don't have to drive to your game shop. Beyond Witchlight, is that what it's called? Okay, cool. Nice. Oh my goodness, cats. Oh yeah, I have to plug LairCon. Today is the last day to buy tickets to LairCon. So if you guys want to come hang out and play D&D with me and other folks, tonight's the last night. Mods will drop a link in chat for you if you want to check out the details on that. But today is the last day to get your tickets. I gotta do frequent sleazy plugs on that tonight. I apologize. It's my job. How to deal with one player rolling better stats than the rest of the party? Well, you know what? You chose your poison when you had them roll stats. Dude, that's literally what's gonna happen. It's what's gonna happen. if you have your players roll stats, it will happen that like 3 of them have like pretty decent rolls. They're okay-ish. One of them gets screwed and wants to throw his book at your face. And then the 5th one has amazing stats. He's got like 2 18s, a 17, and a 16. And he's like, woo! And all the other players are like, we hate you. You suck. Give me your dice. I'm going to melt them in the oven. So like you chose your poison. When you decided to have them roll for stats, that's exactly what was going to happen. So like in my brain, when I make decisions like that and I know what the outcome is going to be, like, I don't know, you have to accept the fact that that's going to happen. Okay, so now what do we do? So what do I do when somebody rolls higher stats than somebody else? Nothing. Nothing. Why would you need to do anything? There's no reason to do anything at all. They have a powerful character. They have really good stats and stuff. Okay, la-di-da. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me. The way that I design my game and design my encounters is based upon the group, what the group is able to do. So if they have one character that's a little bit more powerful than the other ones, then the group is a little bit more powerful. I might adjust my adventures and adjust my encounters a little bit to account for that, sure. But I'm not going to do specific things in response to one player's PC that has a little bit higher stats. I'm not going to single them out, and you could say punish them kind of in a way for doing that. I'm not. It's just, if I need to adjust the game as a whole, I will. But I'm not going to do anything that singles out that one player because they got lucky on the dice rolls. It's not their fault. It's literally my fault because I, as the dungeon master, decided how we were going to determine starting ability scores by rolling dice. And so if I decide that, and then somebody gets lucky and has really good rolls, and then I punish that person or do something about it, well then I'm punishing them for a decision I made. Like, that's backwards. So no. Now if I find that overall the game's too easy because people have good stats or really good character builds, and it doesn't have to be stats. It could just be people that are just power gaming and min-maxing and have really broken combos. You know, there are lots of YouTube videos out there, different channels that literally every video they do is the top 10 this, the top 10 that, ranking and stuff, where literally helping people to min-max their characters. Like, there are videos out there. Those are the videos that do well. And so there's lots of those out there. And so people build characters around those things. And so you don't have to, it has to be stats. It could be anything. It could be those type of things, just building your character. If you find overall that the game is too easy, you know, and the players need more challenge, well, then you bump things up, you beef things up a little bit, you know. But it could be for any number of reasons. Or the players could just be really good at tactics. They could make really good decisions, and that helps them to do far better, you know. I don't think I finished your question. I'm having trouble balancing encounters. I did not finish your question. I gave you an answer. I didn't even read your question. I'm a bad person. I'm having trouble balancing encounters to challenge the whole party when one player is more powerful. I don't understand. I don't know how to answer your question because I've never run into that problem. I've never run into that problem. I've had players that had really powerful characters and then alongside players who had really weak characters. And I've never had a problem with encounters that didn't challenge the whole party. Because they fight as a team. They work together as a team. Everybody's literally working together as a team in every single encounter. Now, is Meridon dealing out over 50 points of damage every round? Yes, he sure is. Is Stefan hardly doing a lot of damage at all at most times? Yeah, he doesn't do a lot of damage. Right? So you have one character who's just slaughtering things and the other one who's like, you know, he's contributing, but he's not a power build, so he just can't do a lot of damage. But it's never been an issue for me. I just run the game. So I don't really know how to answer that because I've never encountered that problem before. So yeah, sorry, I'm a bad person. Okay, we're just gonna move on. Sorry, David. I'm bad. Minotaur of Malice, thank you for the $9.99 super chat, dude. I appreciate that. Oh, and Minotaur of Malice, thank you for the $4.99 follow-up. He's like, oh, I'm gonna super chat him a question. Oh crap, I forgot the question. All right. We're gonna super chat him the question again. Dude, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm poking fun at you, but you're cool, dude. I like you. He says, brain went bonk and sent money without message. Yeah, I saw that. Howdy. Any tips for planning a rotating DM style campaign? Yeah. So I'll tell you what I've done before that seemed to work. And I'll tell you about something somebody else told me that their group does that I think is amazing. So yeah, I got 2 answers for you. See, you gave me 2 super chats. I give you 2 answers. Am I not benevolent? Okay, so what I've done is I just talk to I literally will be like, hey guys, you know, what I'd kind of like to do is after I get done running this adventure here, I'd like for somebody else to DM like an adventure. And so we could all roll up new characters and they could DM an adventure, and then maybe we could swap back and forth. So you really just have a conversation with your players and be like, yo, does anybody else want to be a dungeon master and try things out? Maybe 1 or 2 people do. And then you just come up with some sort of rotation. I don't know. It's just talking with them and figuring out what people want to do. And so like for one adventure, maybe it lasts 3 game sessions. We're playing I'm the Dungeon Master and we play my game. For the next adventure, we rotate and somebody else is running their game and they run through an entire adventure. The key here is to run through complete adventures. Make sure you have closure on an adventure so that there's closure, there's an end to it. And then you go on to somebody else's little game and their adventure. Then when you come back to yours, you're not like in the middle of an adventure and people are like trying to remember what's going on. You want to play out an entire adventure before you rotate. I think that's a key to make sure that it's just gonna make things way, way smoother for you. And then you can rotate a little bit. So that's what I've kind of done a little bit before when I felt like I either needed a break, wanted a break, or needed maybe some more time to prepare an adventure or something. But mostly it's because I wanted a break. And I also wanted to give my players an opportunity to be dungeon masters and run the game if they wanted to. Because I know I've had players before who liked being dungeon masters and they liked the opportunity to run a game as well. And it was cool for me to just not have to prepare a game and just not do jack diddly squat and show up and play the game. So yeah, so that's one way to do it. The other way, I had a dude, what was his name? I had a dude that I was talking to a few times, and what his group did is they have 4 dungeon masters and they play every week. On the first week, 2 of the dungeon masters run games. For the first 4 hours, the first dungeon master is running their game. And then for the second 4 hours, the second dungeon master is running their game. So they play 2 games on a Saturday. It's an 8-hour block. The first 4 hours is from one dungeon master's game. The second 4 hours is from the second dungeon master's game. That's one Saturday. The next weekend, the next Saturday, the third dungeon master runs their game for 4 hours, and then the fourth dungeon master runs their game for 4 hours. So you literally have 4 dungeon masters that are rotating their game, and they play every single weekend for 8 hours. They play 2 games every weekend, right? And so the beautiful thing about this system is that the players get to play like every single weekend for a good chunk of time. There are 4 dungeon masters, so if you're a dungeon master, you're just running 1 game every other week. And you get to be a player in the other 3 games. So if there are many dungeon masters that like being players and want that opportunity. So the beautiful thing about this system is that it accommodates a whole bunch of different really cool things. Now it does necessitate, of course, having 4 people that want to and are able to run games, because not everybody wants to, not everybody can. And obviously, if you're one of those dungeon masters that just wants to be the dungeon master and you don't like being a player, then that might not be the best system for you. But I feel like for a lot of groups, that sort of thing would work really well, you know, and you basically get to play D&D for an entire day every weekend. That's pretty cool. So anyway, Mr. Gore, what's up, dude? Aaron Floyd, what's up, dude? What did he say? Is it wrong to take unused encounters from one adventure? Nope. And reuse them in the next one? Nope. Rather than create brand new material? No, no. Reusing stuff you've already created, you have to do that. Like, well, you don't have to, but absolutely, man. If you created something that you thought was really, really cool, and for whatever reason it didn't get used, absolutely use it in your next adventure. Reusing stuff is like the thing. Yes, a full day of D&D is beautiful. You're very welcome, Minotaur Malice. I gave you the 2 answers, right? Yeah, I gave you both. Okay, cool. How or where do most other players find groups online? Well, Lowbreeze, I'll tell you where people find groups online. They go to the DM Lair Discord, link in chat right there. And we have a looking for group or a pickup group, or there's a channel over there where you can find D&D groups to play in. So that is the place I would recommend. There's lots of cool people over on my Discord. I used to recommend Reddit's LFG, but you know, Reddit can sometimes be a cesspool. So, you know, you might have mixed results over there. So I would try my Discord first. we tend to ban people that are bad. People that are jackwads don't last very long on my Discord. They get banned and booted pretty quick. So if you're a bad person, don't come, because my moderators will just have fun. I have a plot twist in mind that is fairly tragic, as my world is pretty dark at times. My players are constantly goofing off and making jokes. Do you think a scary twist would ruin the vibe? No. And let me tell you something too. If you have a very dark world in general, it could be your players are goofing off and making jokes a lot because they're trying to counter that dark feeling. They're trying to add levity to like that darkness in your world. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I'm just kind of thinking about the psychology of why they might feel that way. You know, it's kind of like if you have a game that's really fast paced, your players will sometimes, maybe subconsciously, you know, go into side conversations and do things to like break up the pace and give themselves a pause, give themselves a break, because it's just too fast of paced. And they'll do things subconsciously sometimes that will give them what they need in the game. And so if you have a super dark game and your players are goofing around and laughing all the time, it could be because they need that counterbalance to that game. Which doesn't really have anything to do with your question. It just kind of occurred to me. But no, I would do your twist however you want, you know. And if it doesn't work, who cares? It doesn't work. You learn something and you get better next time. I mean, you run a game like every weekend, every other weekend. You're running games all the time. Like, as a dungeon master, you are going to try things that don't work. It's gonna happen. And when you fail, you learn from it. Oh, well, that didn't work. Huh, okay, let's not do that again. Or, well, that was new. Maybe I just need to get better at it. Maybe I need to keep trying until I hone and perfect things. That could be it too. So not every new thing that fails necessarily needs to be discarded. You might need to practice more. You might need to refine it. You might need to get better. But sometimes we try new things that are just bad ideas. And we didn't realize it was a bad idea until we tried it. And then we're like, oh, that didn't. So you're gonna try things that aren't gonna work. Don't talk yourself out of it beforehand, unless there's good reason to talk yourself out of it. Like if you're like, I bet a forced rape scene would be a good idea. Talk yourself out of that. Do everybody a favor and talk yourself out of that. You know, but if you don't have a twisted mind like that, like some people, you know, you probably don't have to worry about that too much. And you can try things out without having to, you know, wonder if you're gonna get canceled or people are. Yeah. Let's keep moving. My group was miffed. They died in session 1 of the Avernus module. You need to sit them down and be like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain something to you. We are playing Dungeons and Dragons. 90% of the rules have to do with combat. Do you know what combat is? Combat is where two sides, at least two sides, sometimes more, are in conflict. And in this game, conflict means swords and axes and fireballs, whole bunches of nasty things. So it's possible that you die in this game. Like, death is a possibility in this game. It's something that happens in D&D. Now, I understand that there has been a slow evolution from like 1st edition to 5th edition where it's getting more and more difficult to die, but it can still happen, especially at low levels. So let's just accept that's a possibility before we start playing this game, because death can happen. It happens. And if losing your precious character that you spent, 15 minutes following an online guide that told you how to min-max your paladin, sorcerer mix, splash a little warlock in there to get all these min-max stuff. If you spend a lot of time on Reddit digging through how to min-max and watching YouTube videos and to make your unique precious character, and then he dies and that hurts, you might want to consider, a less deadly game, because I know D&D is popular and everybody likes D&D, but it's kind of like a war game at heart. It's what it came from. So like you might die. So maybe that's a conversation to be had. Let me finish the question. They died in session 1 of the Avernus module. Avernus is a nasty module. I mean, it's build. Oh, well, here's the thing too. I know where they died too. They died in that tavern fight. That tavern fight was bullcrap. I don't know. Somebody's writing. It was a level 1. It's the first adventure in Avernus. All right, and like, there's like a game designer who's like, aha, they're all level 1s. They have 5 hit points. I know what I'm gonna write. There's gonna be 8 different bandits and a bandit captain. They have no chance of winning. But they're not supposed to fight them. They're not supposed to fight. They're supposed to do this, that, and the other, and then this and this over here. And if they do all of these things, then they could actually win this encounter. And so it's fair. No, it's not fair. You're a moron. Why'd you write that? So I know exactly where they died. And that's a horse crap encounter. It's a horse crap encounter. Oh, my group almost died too. I think we actually had one person die, and then the rest of us got our butts handed to us, but we ended up winning, but just barely, because that was just a very, very nasty encounter when you're level 1. I don't know why designers do this. It baffles my mind. Maybe they designed it to age well with like Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, so that when everything comes out super powerful, the old modules can still be run with the crazy powerful characters. I don't know. So in part, your player's anger is a little bit justified because that fight was never fair to begin with. But they don't know that. Well, they might. Actually, they might because they can see all the bad guys and they can do math, It's such a bad encounter. Okay, so your players were miffed. They are a little bit justified. Not necessarily because of the Dungeon Master's fault. It's because the module writer people were like, I don't know. I don't know. It is a deadly fight, but they made zero plan and knew a bunch of pirates were on their way. Should I have toned down the encounter? Okay. Possibly, because it's level 1. If they were level 5 and it was a really deadly encounter, there's so much leeway at level 5. There's, it's like, they could run away, they could do this, that, and the other. They might lose a couple and get away, etc., etc., etc. At level 1, though, my inclination would probably be to tone it down. That would probably be my inclination, because it just really depends. I don't want to. My goal is not to kill my players' characters. It's never my goal. My goal is to run a challenging game that's fun for them. So I'm not trying to kill them. So I don't know. I personally might have toned that encounter down a little bit because it was kind of a bullcrap encounter. And there were certain assumptions made that there's no guarantee the party's going to do certain things. But just because I might have done something doesn't mean that you should have done something. If your players had information about a bunch of pirates coming and they did nothing to prepare for the battle, and then they got TPK'd, well, maybe they should have thought about things more. But this is also kind of touches on a common assumption that many players make when they play this game. They come from the video game mindset. When you're playing video games, everything in a video game that you come across is usually winnable. The video games are designed to be winnable. If you do the right things and push the right buttons and stuff like that, you're probably going to win. And so we bring this mentality sometimes to Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games, and we say, hey, everything's winnable. So it doesn't matter if there's a bunch of pirates coming, it's going to be winnable. Like, why would they put it in a game if it's not winnable? And so sometimes I think players can come with, like, erroneous assumptions about how the game is designed, which causes problems, right? Their expectations, they have certain expectations that are wrong. And then they find out, holy crap, it wasn't winnable. It was never winnable. So yeah, that's a thing. So I think this is probably like, it's probably worth it, like in the fabled session 0, to talk to your players and be like, yo guys, want you to know not everything in this game might be winnable. Use your brains. Use your brains. It's a big old world out there. You never know who you're going to come across. So use your brains. Now, the flip side to that, of course, is if the players are so in terror of everything and they're terrified that every encounter might be crazy deadly, then they don't want to fight anything. Then they're always running away. Then they're always trying to talk their way out of things. And then they never want to fight. And that brings you back to the way, like, first edition, the earlier editions were played, where if you got into a fight, you could easily die. Some of you were probably going to die. And so you tried to avoid fights all the time. So it begs the question of what kind of game do you want to play? Do you want to play a game where players, there could be any number of difficulties of thrown in there, and the players might just decide the best thing to do is to run most of the time and not fight anything? Is that the game you want to play? If that's the game you want to play, cool. Then you could just have crazy powerful monsters and encounters all over the place. But if you don't want to play that game, then you probably want to have some sort of expectation set with your players, whereby there's some sort of agreement that says, hey, most things are winnable. However, occasionally there will be something that isn't, and you're probably going to get little subtle clues that it might not be winnable. Not me telling you that, but by me describing things or setting the scene in a certain way. Then, going that route, you can actually play a game where the players aren't afraid of fighting things. You can have combats and encounters that are fun. You don't have TPKs all the time. Your players aren't running from everything in the game world, but occasionally there is something pretty nasty that might challenge them, and they might have to run, or they might have to negotiate, or they might have to give the wizard up as a sacrifice to save their lives, stuff like that. So it just depends on how you want to go with that and how you want to run that. So there's a bunch of information for you. I don't know that I answered your question. I kind of did. I did okay. I get like a couple gold stars for that, right? The moderators are having a side conversation in chat. Hey, get to work. Put down, mommy. All right, let's do a cat strike. There's a super chat. Oh, I missed a super chat. Look at that. I was all talky and I missed a super chat. Greco's Flowery. All right. $5 super chat. Thank you so much. My question is, my players don't always pay attention and it ruins the atmosphere. I bring the issue up and they say sorry, but not change. Should I drop? Dude, that would annoy the crap out of me. What would Luke do? Dude, I do the stare of death, man. I totally do the stare of death. Like, there's a time in the game where side conversations aren't really a problem. You could have like these two over here talking about something while you're resolving something with a different player, but what you're resolving over here doesn't really impact them, and if they don't hear it all, it's not that big of a deal. So it's like, okay, whatever, you guys have your side conversation, that's cool. But when I am communicating something, a scene or something, whatever happens to be to the players that they need to know, they need to listen to, if in that case there is a side conversation going, I stop what I'm doing and I give the two players who are talking the stare of death. It's the cold, hard, 1,000-yard stare or whatever that basically says, you guys are interrupting my game, shut up. It's the stare of death. I used to be a teacher. It's the stare of death. When the kid's talking, you give them the stare of death. They be quiet, and then you can keep on teaching. So it's the same sort of concept. So I give my players the stare of death, and that usually seems to work. You know, I don't know what your intimidation score is. You might need to get that up a little bit. What was your question though? That was a super chat. So your question is, should you drop? If it's a game breaker for you, here's the thing, like, it ruins the atmosphere. Okay, if they're not paying attention and you can't get them to, it sounds like you've talked to them, you brought it up, hey guys, you guys aren't paying attention, you're on your phone, you're talking, you're not even paying attention to the game, I can't even run the game. So I think there's two things to consider. One, why aren't they paying attention? How engaging is your game? How interesting is your game? Could it be that your game just isn't super interesting and it isn't engaging and their attention's wandering because you're not holding their attention? That's a possibility. So that means that there might be an area there that you can improve in and that you can get better at. And so the question there is, why aren't you paying attention? Like, are you not finding the game fun? Are you not finding it interesting? What kind of things could I do or change or get better at that would make it more interesting for you? Your players have the answer. They have the answer. Like, if I'm a player in a game and I'm not paying attention, and the dungeon master's like, Luke, you've been reading Xanathar's Guide to Everything for 15 minutes. Why aren't you paying attention? I'll be like, oh, let me tell you why I'm not paying attention. Because I'm not even in the current scene. The other three players are in the city doing something, and you've been on their scene for a half an hour, and I'm literally here doing nothing. And so I'm just gonna read my book because I'm not really in the game right now. That's why I'm not paying attention. And it doesn't really matter because they're in the city and I don't have any in-character knowledge of what's going on. So it doesn't impact me at all. So your players have the answer. So if it is that your game isn't engaging enough, that you could improve and do things, your players could help you to understand perhaps things that you could do better. So I think half of the answer to the question is, instead of, because as dungeon masters, a lot of times we look at our players and be like, you're bad, you're not paying attention, you're doing this, you're doing that. Whereas, you know, the mirror needs to be held up to ourselves as well. How am I contributing to the problem? Are there things that I can get better at and can improve at? We shouldn't start out with the assumption that we're doing everything correctly and that everything is our players' fault. We should start out with the assumption that there is an issue. People are contributing to the issue. I might be one of them. So what can I do to make the issue better? Now, so that's something to consider. At the end of the day though, whether you should drop or not is probably going to be, if I'm considering quitting a game, it's usually going to be a measure of, am I having fun? Am I enjoying this game? If I'm the dungeon master and I'm not having fun running the game, I'm not enjoying it, then there's the slider of Luke quitting just gets higher and higher. It's like the less fun I'm having, when I get to the point where I'm just not having fun and it feels like work, and like every game session it's like I'm not having fun, you know, I'm fighting with my players, they won't pay attention, I'm repeating myself all the time, I'm getting frustrated, I don't look forward to D&D, I dislike playing D&D, and it feels like a job. That's when Luke is like, it's probably time to stop running this game. So that's probably, those are some indicators that it might be time to stop running a game. But I wouldn't stop running a game because your players aren't paying attention. That's not a good reason to stop running a game. I think there's other things to consider besides that, what I would say. All right, there you go. Thank you, moderators, for letting me know about the super chat, because Luke doesn't pay attention. I wasn't paying attention. All right, we're doing a cat strike. Wait, wait. We're gonna do the cat. Yeah, the cat strike. All right, I was getting the wrong stuff out. This is the cat strike right here. We get to go to the kitty cat camera. The kitty cat camera. Woo! What's up, guys? I have quite a few cats, as you can see. What? Don't whine at me. Being a big baby. All right, here we go. Are you guys ready for this? Oh yeah. Orange. All right. I'm gonna go bio, get some more coffee. You watch the kitties and I'll be right back. Oh, got orange in the box. I'm gonna have a cookie. Look at this. I have a cookie. It's a maple leaf cookie. Check this out. Oh, hold on a second. See, this is why I have a coffee cam. So I can share important things with you. It's made with real maple syrup. It's a maple leaf cookie. I'm pretty sure it's from like Canada or something. Where's it from? Where's this thing from? Yes, you see? Look at how smart I am. Product of Canada. Product of Canada. I told you. It's got maple syrup in it. It's gonna be from Canada. That's where they have maple syrup. I don't really like maple syrup, but I like things made with maple syrup. But maple syrup itself, yeah, doesn't really do it for me. Keith's like, Luke, I remember you talking about this before. You don't like maple syrup. He knows my food preferences. Keith, how do you know my food preferences? I don't know. I have to like change my identity now. sticks in the river. That's a solid strategy. Prep the immediate area, prep where they said they're going next. And then everything else up you can make up on the fly. Yeah, that's a solid thing to do. I do that frequently with my Curse of Strahd game. I literally ask my players, hey guys, where do you think you're gonna go next? So I can prepare for it. I just ask them. I just ask them. I don't try to have like every single area in the module prepped at all times. That's insane. I ask them where they think they're gonna go. And I literally tell them so that I can prepare for it. They're not morons. They're intelligent adults. They understand that I have to prepare stuff from time to time. Sir Vic, thank you so much, dude. I had fun making that video. I hope they don't hate me now. I hope they can take a good clean joke and be like, yeah, that guy, he's funny. I'd love for people to make fun of me too. Make fun of my stupid face and my dumb expressions. Make fun of the fact that I can't pronounce anything. There are so many things you can make fun of me about. How do you deal with lore lawyers? Not D&D per se. Player go actually according to Lucas art lore, you can't use a white lightsaber. Let's say they have a credible source supporting them. This is how I deal with lore lawyers. Guess what? This is my game world. I make the rules. I make the lore. If I want a lightsaber to be white, it's gonna be white. If I want the Tarrasque to be an intelligence 18 and a very nice fellow that you could have tea with, you know, tea and what are those things called? Scones or something. And you could just have a nice biscuit with your friend Tarrasque, then that's what's gonna happen. Like, my game ruled, I'm running this. I set the rules, I make the rules. This is how it works. If the fact that there's a white lightsaber in the world ruins the immersion for you, and that's a game breaker, and you gotta walk, well, then you're gonna have to walk. No, yeah, that's probably where I would come down on that. I run most of my games right now in the Forgotten Realms. So occasionally I'll have people be like, oh, well, in the Forgotten Realms, this, that, and the other. And I'll be like, well, let's pause right now. So like my Forgotten Realms is an iteration of the Forgotten Realms you've read about. So not everything that you've read about is true in my version, my iteration of the Forgotten Realms. I took the Forgotten Realms, I forked it, and now I'm running with something of my own. So what you think you know might not be true. Just keep that in mind. Very new Dungeon Master here. What's up, dude? Welcome. My friend and player in my game convinced me that his bag of holding was able to close a portal. I now know it can't. What's a good way of dealing with bad rulings? You're gonna make lots of bad rulings as a dungeon master. You're gonna make lots of decisions that in retrospect you're gonna be like, I made the wrong call. That was a bad idea. It's just gonna happen. How you deal with the bad rulings is you move on with your life. You don't think about them. You learn from them, improve, obviously, don't be dumb. Learn from mistakes and bad rulings, but don't hold them against yourself. Don't feel bad about it. It's going to happen. Like, you can't make 100% good rulings every time. Sometimes you just need to make a ruling and move on with things. So don't worry about it and don't beat yourself up about it. It's going to happen a lot. It's going to keep on happening. Even when you've been running games for a long, long time, you're still going to make bad rulings from time to time. It's going to happen. So just accept it. When it happens, learn from it and move on. And that's the best thing you can do. The Tarrasque wears a bow tie with a top hat and a monocle. Yes. Holy crap balls! How could I run combat with several different monster stats? I have 16 different monsters I'm using in a single encounter. Andrew, my friend. What were you thinking? That's my best. What's that moron's name? The guy I just did the impression of? What's his name? Somebody can tell me. What's that guy's name? What were you thinking? Dr. Phil? Is it Dr. Phil? Yeah, Dr. Phil. What were you thinking? Okay. Yeah, dude, that's too many monsters in a combat. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. Very, very, very bad. It's a bad idea because it's going to slow that encounter down so much, because you are going to have to flip between 16 different stat blocks, run 16 different monster stat blocks at a time, remember what they do, choose which spell they're going to cast, rotate them through the encounter in their initiative turn order. That is a train wreck. That's good. That crashed a long time ago. That crashed before it took off. Yeah, 16 is way too much. The most I've ever done in an encounter is 6, and it wasn't my fault. There were 3 monsters stats over here for this encounter, and then there were 3 over here or something, and my players somehow got all of them to fight them at once, and I ended up with 6 at the same time. This was in my Curse of Strahd game before it was Curse of Strahd, and it was Sword Coast Guard. I had 6 of them, and I had what I usually do is I print out the stat blocks on little cards, and then I have those cards in front of me on the game table so I can quickly reference them. You can also put little sticky notes in your Dungeon Master, not your monster manual. Even better, I have my iPad at the game table, and I have D&D Beyond open on it, and I have a bunch of different tabs. Each tab has a different monster on it, and so I can quickly, just click the different tabs I need. So those are different ways you can run multiple monsters without having to like flip through a whole bunch of stuff. But my recommendation is 3. Maximum of 3 different types of monsters in an encounter. That's for your sanity as a dungeon master, and it's also to keep the pace of the combat going and not bog things down because you're trying to understand and look things up and make decisions for your monsters. I usually keep my encounters to 2 different monster types, but 3 I'll do from time to time as well. So yeah, don't do that to yourself, dude. My recommendation. I rarely do just 1 monster type because that's boring in my opinion. I usually will have at least 2 monster types because that's more interesting for an encounter. 1 tends to be boring. Oh my gosh, there are so many questions. My players are saying they want more roleplay elements in combat other than illustrating their actions. Do you have any tips? Yeah, keep social interaction going. Keep a conversation going. That's one of the biggest things you can do in a combat. The talkie bits. Have that keep going during the combat. Your bad guys can still insult and talk to the players, and then you can give them brief moments to talk back. I do this all the time during my combats, all the time. My bad guy's attacking and he's talking to the players, characters, all the time. And then you have the combat going on. They can describe their actions. They can also talk back and forth to the bad guy in a limited way. You can't have a 5-minute dialogue going on in the middle of combat. So you got to keep it reasonable. But that's the biggest thing you can do to keep some of that, talkie, the social interaction stuff going on as well. That's my biggest tip, I would say. Currently, I only play with my family, and sometimes they argue. How do I handle an argument at my D&D table when it's my parents arguing? Hard to tell them to just stop. I would tell them to stop. Mom, Dad, can we do this after the game? Like, can we just play the game, please? I would put a little bit of levity into it. I would make it part of a joke, part of serious. It's all in your delivery, like. If they're doing the arguing thing and you're just getting ticked off and you like snap at them and are a jerk to them, it's not gonna go well. You don't talk to your parents that way, right? Like my daughter talks to me like that way, I get upset. So you want to you got to keep the respect. You got to keep the respect in there, but I would try to correct them in a way that comes off still as respectful, but a little bit of levity in it, you know? Like, Mom, Dad, can we not have an argument during the game? Can we do this later? Can we kill some orcs and stuff? You know, would that be okay? I don't know. I would try to do something like that. Of course, I don't have like those inhibitions either, probably in certain situations, especially if I'm the game master. If I'm running the game, like, I don't care who you are and how old you are. I'm going to run the game, and I'm going to use my authority as needed to make sure that the game is going okay. So I don't know. That's what I would do. I think your age probably matters too. It's easier for me to do it being a little bit older. You know, if I were like 15 and my parents were arguing, then it's a little bit harder for me to do that, I would say. So I think age has something to do with it. Penalize them XP for bad sportsmanship. Oh, that's awesome. Mom, Dad, don't make me parent you two during my campaign. Example of what not to say. Mom, Dad, stop arguing or I'll send you to your room. Put your parents in timeout. Hey, hello, Italy. Arsenico, what's up, dude? Kill their characters to establish dominance. Oh, that's awesome. Don't actually do that. Ed has a public service announcement. There are currently more questions in the sheet than Luke could possibly answer tonight. Feel free to keep asking new questions because he cherry picks, but don't be offended if questions don't get answers. Yes, and if you super chat, I will answer your question too, because I am a sleazy money grubbing jerk. No, because I'm buying a jet ski. No, actually, that reminds me. I do see a super chat from Dylan. I'll get to that in a second, dude. Thank you. I am trying to raise money for the Boys and Girls Club of Lansing. All tips go directly to them. They are a charity here in the Lansing area. That's like where I live. And they basically they do a whole bunch of things for boys and girls. They have like an after school area, a big building where kids can go after school. They can get help with homework. They have like a STEM program that's like math, science, engineering, and stuff like that. They do lots of really cool things to help inner city youth and stuff. So we're trying to raise $500 for these folks to give them. So if you'd like to help contribute, you can drop a tip. There's a link in chat that Penguin Butt just threw there. It's just for tips if you want to do the tips. Because when you super chat and stuff, YouTube gets like a good chunk of that money. When you tip, it goes almost all of it goes right to the charity. There's like a very little tiny bit that like Stream Elements will take off from the top, but it's very, very small. That's why we use the tipping when we do donations to charity, because I want most of the money to go to the charity, not to YouTube. They don't need, trust me, they don't need more money. Oops, that's the wrong button. Oh, Danny, you used to go to the Boys and Girls Club? Hey, Danny's here. Hello, Danny. How are you doing? You used to go to the Boys and Girls Club down there in your neck of Yeehaw land? I make fun of Danny. She's from Texas. I'm going to be in Texas next week at LairCon. I should not make fun of people from Texas. I'm going to be outnumbered. Like, yeah, we heard about you. You were making fun of us, right? Oh, that's right. So today, this came up organically this time. It wasn't even that sleazy. Today is the last day to buy tickets for LairCon 2021. So if you want to play D&D with me, people from my crew, hang out, and all that kind of stuff, get your tickets. There's a link right there in chat. I'm closing it down tomorrow. No more tickets after tonight. So if you want in on the fun, it's tonight's your last chance. This is like salesmanship pressure. This is marketing pressure. It's like the time is running out. You must do it now. Because I'm like that. Make fun all you want. Oh, Keith, are you from Texas too? I'm gonna be in trouble. Luke, remember that saying, don't mess with Texas. I'm not messing with Texas. I'm just messing with certain citizens of Texas. That's okay, right? Oh no, Penguin Butt's gonna be there too. She's from Texas. Crap. Yeah, but you're like down an arm right now. So I don't know. Yeah. You're probably still dangerous though. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll be good. He's messing with all of you. I'm gonna move on. We're gonna go back to the questions now. I'm getting myself in trouble. Keith is a former DM of yours, Ambers? Oh, nice. Okay, I answered that one. Uh-oh, down with dark vision. What's that all about? I want to make things scary, but dark vision is the bane of my existence. The 𝐌𝐀𝐊𝐄𝐒 cleric is the only one who doesn't have it, but he has the light spell. How do I deal with this? Like, you don't have to have dark vision in your game. You can take it out and tell your players that we're not going to have dark vision anymore. That if you want to be able to see, you have to have a light source. It's pretty simple. Just remember that it goes two ways. Your monsters will need light sources too. They won't have dark vision either. Which means that, you know, when you're carrying a torch, you are making yourself a big, huge target for anybody who's in darkness and looking at you. Like when you're sitting around the campfire, you are clearly illuminated to everybody for a long ways around. People that are in the woods, in the shadows, observing you. You're sitting around that campfire, they can see you, yo, and you can't see them. You're a big old target right there. So remember that everything goes two ways. So if you get rid of dark vision for players, your monsters don't have dark vision, and you need to account for that as well. So that changes the game a lot. So think carefully. But if you don't like it, you don't have to use it in your game. There are dungeon masters that cut it out and say that dark vision doesn't exist. Oh, there's a super chat. I still missed the super chat. Okay, sorry. Dylan, what's up, dude? Dylan's like, Luke, come on, man. I gave you $5 and you're ignoring me. Dude, you suck. He's already left. He's like, I'm done. This guy sucks. All right, let's answer your question. Since you left, you hate me now. All right, let's do this. Would you ever give an NPC enemy a Vorpal sword to use against the players? Only if I wanted the players to have it. That's the only reason I would ever give an NPC enemy a Vorpal sword. Like, do I care about the fact that it could decapitate them? No, not at all. Why not? Because at that level, they have access to spells and stuff that will bring the character back from the dead. So I don't care about that. Once you get to the point in the game where Vorpal swords are on the table, your group is going to have resources at their disposal to bring people back from the dead. So I don't really care about that. The real question is, do I want them to get the Vorpal sword or not? Because if I give a bad guy that sword, the chances are very high they will get that sword one way or another. So that's really the only question. Do I want to give them that sword or not? That's it. If it's a yes, a yes. If a no, then that sword does not go in the game. Reincarnate. Oh, I love Reincarnate. Dude, we had the best. You guys, we had my Sword Coast Guard game. Sebastian. I think he was like an elf. He was like an elf or a half elf or something. My player Aaron played Sebastian, and he died in the game, and they reincarnated him. It was amazing. One of my other players found online a random table listing all of the official races, like not just the published ones, but like all the different races you could get that are playable races in 5th edition. And we rolled on the table, and Sebastian was reincarnated as a turtle. Oh my gosh, we died laughing that game session. He came back as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, as a turtle. He was like I think he was a Bladelock. I think he was like a Warlock Bladelock. Hexblade. Yeah. And it was awesome. It was the greatest thing ever. Like, he had this big pole arm. He would fight. We have a miniature of a turtle with a pole arm for him. And he would constantly in combat, he would be like, I retreat into my shell. He had this thing where he could use an action or a bonus action to like withdraw into his shell. And Aaron always kind of plays, not always, but usually he plays his players or his characters like in such a way that they don't want to die. They're afraid of dying all the time, and they tend to play very defensively. And so whenever he kind of got in trouble, he would be like, I retreat into my shell. And he would just pull into his shell. We laughed about it every time. It was the best thing in the world. His previous character, Nigel, would almost always use greater invisibility to like not get hurt and go hide and then do stuff. And it worked. I mean, he never died, really. Maybe he died once, but yeah. So he just, Aaron always plays his characters kind of defensively. And when it works, he doesn't die very often. But it was awesome. It was hilarious. I loved it. Tiffany, hello. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. She says, I'm very new to D&D and I don't know anything about D&D or about the lore with the characters, monsters, etc. As a beginner, what would be some advice you would give? So you're specifically asking about lore with the characters, monsters, etc. I would start reading that stuff. I would just start reading about it. You can also, there are also YouTube channels that talk about lore. Like there's this one guy called Jordan or something. I don't know how to, his something is silent. I have no idea what somebody knows who I'm talking about. Moderators, you could drop a link to his channel or something. He talks almost exclusively about lore on his channel. So you could just listen to his videos and learn about lore. It's the one he's like, name is Jordan, but the PH is silent or something. Somebody knows who I'm talking about. You can, yeah, and you can get books like Mordekainen's Tome of Foes, has a bunch of lore in it. It's very, very cool. Volo's Guide to Monsters has a bunch of lore about monsters in it as well. The Monster Manual obviously has a bunch of, I would just start reading. Like that's one of the coolest things is reading the monster books and learning the lore about all of those different things. And then don't be afraid to, if you're going to be a dungeon master or if you're going to be a player, don't feel like you have to know all that stuff before you begin either. Like the majority of players jump in and a lot of dungeon masters jump in without knowing a whole lot and they just do it. They just jump in and start and they have tons of fun. There's nothing wrong with that. So don't feel like you have to know everything and be prepared and ready before you actually start playing or even running a game. You know, it's perfectly fine to just do the best you can with what you know and just get started. And that's probably gonna be more fun to just start playing and then learn as you go, and then you'll get hyped up and you'll want to learn more and you'll want to read more. You know, it's kind of like if you're into like Warhammer, what is it, 3K or something? You know, you have like these massive armies that you have to paint before you can play. And you like get all these armies and you're just like, I can't play the game until I paint them all. And then you spend like 5 years painting them. And then you're like, I finally painted them. I can play the game. And it's like you spent 5 years getting ready to play the game. And that's not, yeah, I'm exaggerating, obviously. So don't do that. Just jump in and start playing. That's my advice. There's a bunch of advice there. But welcome. Very, very fun game. Tiffany, you should also join our Discord. There's a link somewhere here. We have lots of really cool people there, lots of dungeon masters, lots of helpful folk there. Come in. We have channels where you can ask questions and stuff like that. And people will be very, very helpful and help you out. So Amber's, I remember when Luke used to paint minis. Yes, I still paint minis. I painted minis last week. I just do it privately now. Oh, Mr. Rex does lore. Yep, I that sounds familiar. You're very welcome, Tiffany. Well, welcome to our wonderful, wonderful community, and we hope that you enjoy yourself and have lots of fun while you're here, because we're very, very fun people. And there's a bunch of links right there. Danny. She's like, I win. Who actually won? I don't think you won, Danny. Danny did not win. All my moderators tried to drop links to my Discord at the same time. And I see Penguin Butts first. Danny, I think Penguin Butt won. I'm going to call Penguin Butt as the winner. I'm sorry, Danny. Yellow does it. What's up, dude? Thanks, man. Or woman. Whatever you are. Thank you. The X is also silent. Hello, my name is... That's right. My entire name is silent. The whole thing. I'm special. Oh, Jorf Dan. That's right. Jorf Dan. Does he read super chat questions? Yes, I do. I read every single super chat question because I'm trying to buy a jet ski. All right. I'm a new DM and I start my first adventure. I saw your combat system. I don't think I have a special combat system that I've made, so I'm not sure what you're referencing. Should I use your method or try the regular one first and then yours? Always start with the regular core rules. Always. Always, 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 always. My 100% recommendation every single time to anybody starting with the game is run the core rules. Always use the core rules first. Use them for a year or 2 years. Understand the core rules. Understand how they work and why certain things are done the way they're done. And then once you understand the core rules, then start tweaking them, make some change, start homebrewing them. I would not ever really recommend homebrewing and tweaking core rules before you have used them and understand them. It's usually going to result in you making homebrew rules that screw things up and have undesired effects for reasons. Because, you know, we make fun of the game designers and some things, you know, around here and stuff, but, you know, they do have a lot of experience and they usually know what they're doing. And most of the time, when there's something really stupid that makes it into a book, an official book, I don't blame the designers. I usually blame the suits. Somebody over there got their head up their butt, made a bad decision to, you know, flex and impose their authority on like game designers and other people, and they made them do a thing, and the game designers are probably like, this is dumb, this is stupid, but they're my boss and I have no choice. And so usually when there's a screw up in a book, I blame the people at the top. Usually the people in the front lines are doing really good work, and stuff that makes it through that sucks and is stupid, it's usually because somebody made that decision who doesn't know what they're talking about, who's not close enough to the work and doesn't understand the work, and yet they have the authority. And so they told the person to do a thing, and the person knew it was the wrong thing, but they had to do it anyway. And then it got published. And then the rest of us were like, that sucks. And then the game designer's like, yes, I know, but my boss made me do it. It's not my fault. They can't say that, of course, because then they get in trouble. But I like to think that the people in the front lines usually are doing a pretty good job and know what they're doing. People at the top who don't know what they're doing as far as like the details of the work usually make bad decisions. They have to review things, and they want to make changes because, you know, flex and all this kind of stuff, and they don't trust the people on the front lines to do good jobs. You know what I mean? And they have to justify their existences by reviewing it and then making suggestions, that sort of thing. You know, that's how people in management think. And so not all, but many. So yeah, I like to not blame the game designers a lot. I like to blame the people in suits. Sorry. That was second edition in a nutshell. Blame an editor. It's always the suits. Oh my gosh. Dude, I work at a place. I have a different role now than I did before, but I used to be a writer where I work now. I don't write anymore, but I used to be a writer. And we would have to send the stuff we wrote through an approval process. And guess who's on the approval process? Vice presidents are on the approval process. Vice presidents, way up at the top, have to read what I wrote, review it, and approve it before I can, you know, publish what I wrote. What does a vice president know about grammar and word usage and stuff like that? Nothing. And yet they're trying to correct me. And I'm like, you're an idiot. You should look at the messaging. Do you approve the messaging? If the messaging is okay, say approved. You don't need to find things to fix just to like don't you have better things to do as a vice president than review my writing? Are you kidding me? My writing literally got reviewed by a peer, and then my boss reviewed it, and then somebody else reviewed it, and then you reviewed it. Do you really think you're gonna correct my grammar or my word choice at this point? Come on. You got better things to do, please. I don't know what triggered that rant, but it was stupid. You should just trust the people below them to do their jobs. Either trust the people to do their jobs or fire them. It's so dumb. Right now, the people that work for me are like, does Luke trust me then? Because if he doesn't, I'm in trouble. Ed says Luke is the suit, but he actually listens to his editors and developers. Yeah. You guys, I let you do your jobs. Do you know what I usually do? You like Ed. So Ed is my lead developer. Ed Robinson is my lead developer. And so he reviews pretty much everything we publish for game balance, design considerations. He looks at monster stat blocks to make sure the math was done correctly, things balance out, lots of different things. He just does like a general review of lots of different things. So he's the lead developer. Lead developer that does that. Penguin Butt is project manager. She's like half project manager and half editor, and she does a whole bunch of crap. They do a lot of work. Zack, Goliath Cleric, is one of my lead writers. Danny is another lead writer, and so they do a lot of stuff. And for the most part, I don't know if Penguin Butt, when you send me something, I mostly just accept all of your changes, and then there are a few things that I double check. There are especially adventures. I double check a few things. I read through and I do usually the backstory, the summary, or the introduction at the very, very beginning. I read through that to make sure it makes sense, because sometimes those don't make sense, and then I'm like, this is confusing. So that's one thing I'll look at. Plot hooks are important, and then I'll look at a few other things. I'll make sure the adventure makes sense to the map. There are a few things that I spot check, but for the most part, I just trust you guys to do your jobs and get it done. That's why I pay you the big bucks, so that I don't have to do it all myself, and that I can just focus on the things that only I can do. For instance, this live stream, only I can do the live stream. The videos, only I can do the videos. The scripting, only I can do that. There are things that only I can do, so those are the things I focus on doing. And the things that I can pay other people to do, guess what? I pay them to do it, and I trust them to get it done. And then if they're doing a good job, then I don't have to worry about it. And if they're not doing a good job, then it's probably time to either help them, coach them so they can do a good job, or find somebody else who can do it. Those are your options. Either trust them and let them do it, coach them to help them do it better, or find somebody else to do it. I prefer to coach and upskill rather than find new people, but sometimes it has to happen. That's life. Danny's like, hey, we could do a live stream. I would love to have you guys do the live stream for me. Could totally do that. Danny, you're up first. Danny loves being on video. You're doing the live stream first. I want to see that. That would be fun. Get all 4 of us on stream with Luke. I would totally do that. The DM Lair crew all on the live stream. Like we zoom you in, we get you on Zoom, we put all of us on here, and we just talk. We just have fun. I would totally do. It would be chaos. It would be absolute chaos, and I would love it. I would totally do that. You guys have no idea. I love doing new stuff and trying stuff out. If it's fun, if it sounds fun, I'm down. It would be the worst advice and answers. It would be chaos, and yes, it would. It would be awesome. The Larry bunch, yes. The regular streams aren't chaos. See, Zachary, what do you speak of, good sir? All right, I think you guys all just committed yourself. It's gonna be like, everybody on the DM Lair team, everyone who works for me is on the live stream. It's like, it's a mandatory monthly meeting, It's like, oh no, we got to go to this meeting. I'll just set up a meeting on Zoom, and I won't tell you it's a live stream. And the next thing you know, we're going to be live. Have you run any games with monster races? My players never have asked to be a monstrous race. Oh no, I had one player who was he was a bugbear once. He was a bugbear for min-maxing purposes, I'm convinced. But yeah, I have had one player be a monstrous race. How do I feel about Dark Sun? Dark Sun sounds super interesting. I would love to see a Dark Sun setting for 5th edition. That's how I feel. Our group of D&D players has grown too big. It's time to line people up against the wall. How do I cut down the size of the next campaign's players without making anyone feel left out? That sucks. Why did you let it get too big? Claire! Hello, Claire. Claire Martin is one of our writers too. Claire, I cannot tell you how much I loved your last adventure, Willow Mansion. I loved that so much. Your puzzles you wrote some puzzles for us. I think prior to that, I loved your puzzles. Very, very, very pleased with your writing. You have no idea. And your read aloud text, like your wording and stuff is so eloquent. Oh, it's just so good. It was so good. I was so very, very happy when I was reading through your stuff, just letting you know. Yeah, I know I wrote you a note, like when I paid you, I wrote you a note too, but I just felt the need to verbalize it too, because I loved it. So yes, thank you. You're doing great. Okay, anyway, she asked a question. She's like, Luke, well, thank you, Luke, but could you answer my question? I see a super chat too. I'll get to your super chat in a second. I think the best solution is to not let your group get too big to begin with. But that ship has already sailed. So let's try to see what we can do here. The first thing I would do is I would talk to my players. I would probably be like, hey guys, there are 7 of us. It's just not working for me. I feel like our group is too big. Our group has grown too big. And explain to them why the group is too big for you and why you want to narrow it down. In my case, I might say something like, there's 7 of us and I know it's my fault for letting you all join. But now I'm struggling to run this group for you. I feel like there's too many of us. It's causing everything to go a whole lot slower. There's less time for each of you to actually play the game because there are so many of you that we need to go through. The combats are bogging down. You know, lots of you want to do special things with your characters and your backstories and your goals that you have for your characters. And my time is limited and it's really hard for me to run this game for this many people. Whatever the reasons are, you have your reasons. Explain to them what your reasons are and just say, I would love to get this game from 7 people down to 5 because I feel like I'm going to run a better game and I don't know what to do. So I wanted to talk to you guys and see if we could figure something out. I don't want to kick anybody out. I hate that idea, but this group is too big right now and I don't know what to do. And I would probably just go to my group and be like, here's my problem. Can you help me solve it? Can you help me solve it? And then have a discussion. The ideal situation, what I would hope is that I would get some volunteers. There's a chance that some of your players aren't as excited about the game as others. And there's a chance they might just be like, you know, I can probably just sit the game out. I would be okay with withdrawing from the game. And if you could get a couple volunteers who willingly decide and just of their own volition decide that they're going to leave, that is the best case scenario. That's what you absolutely are hoping for when you walk into that situation. Because it's possible in a large group that some of the players might not even want to really keep playing, but they feel bad telling you that. And so they stay because they feel that it's the socially right thing to do. So they feel socially obligated to remain in the game. But if you give them the out, if you give them the opportunity to leave, they might volunteer. And then your problem is solved. Now, if you don't get those volunteers, I don't know where to go from there. But I personally would probably put that on the table for my players and ask them. Now, if that works and people volunteer or you guys all decide on something and you have a solution, that's great. If you guys can't come to a group solution, my backup plan would probably be to select the 2 players who I want to remove from the game. And they would probably be the players that I felt weren't paying attention, are constantly distracted, and aren't contributing to the game. If I had players that were problem players that would argue a lot or do bad, I don't know, whatever. You probably could think of a couple that were like, you know, if they left this game, the game would probably not get any worse. If that person left the game might get better. So if you don't get volunteers to leave, then you could always select the people that leave. Now let me flip this around though. If you ask for volunteers and 2 good players decide to leave, and you have 2 bad players that you wish would leave, but they stay, you just lost. So if you have players that you kind of don't want to be in the game, then I wouldn't ask the players. I wouldn't even ask them. I would make the decision. I would say, guys, the group, I would probably first talk to those 2 players. I would say, hey guys, you know, the 2 players that are problem players or aren't paying attention or aren't engaged, I don't know, you have your reasons. I would talk to them and say, hey guys, this group is too big. There are too many people. And I need to narrow it down to 5. And unfortunately, I think that it's probably best that you're one of those people. And you figure out a nice way to say that. You know, you find out a nice way to say that. And it's always going to suck, you know. But if you have players that you don't want to be there, like that are problems or something, you want to make sure those are the ones that leave, so that the players you want there are the ones that stay. Now, if they're all equally awesome, then I would do the first thing I suggested to you. So that's my thoughts on that. All right. Whee! Got cookie crumbs in my coffee. All right, next, super chats. The Nico Bozo, what up, dude? Thank you for the $3.95 super chat. Have you ever based an NPC on someone in your life? I don't think so. Not that I recall. I used my mom to be based behavior and quest of a silver dragon. They had to hunt for books for her. Cool. Yeah, I don't think I have, dude. I don't think I have. Not that I recall. I tend to do 2 things with my NPCs. 1, I make them up on the spot with no preparation whatsoever. Or 2, I think about the NPC and I practice their voice in a mirror or something, and then based upon their voice, I just kind of run with it in private as I'm prepping. And then sometimes, like, I'll just talk. I'll have a conversation. I'll have a 2-way conversation between my NPC and the players, maybe, or I'll like simulate the players, and then some sort of like mannerisms and behavior and stuff will like just develop around that NPC, and that'll help like craft the NPC. But usually that's like a more of an organic practice, something that just kind of happens as I play that out, if that makes sense. I usually don't pick something that I know or somebody that I know to base an NPC off of. Usually don't do it that way. I don't think I've ever done it that way. I don't know though. Mr. Gore, goodbye. You're getting into makeup? Oh dear. Good luck. Mr. Gore's like, I got a hot date. I gotta go get my makeup on. Ooh. Or he's got a performance. He's like, I'm a theater dude. Yo, I gotta put my stage makeup on. I can get that. I put makeup on for my videos. And not right now, but for my official videos, I have a, what is it? It's like a powder that you put on. It basically, I forget what it's called, but it helps reduce the glare of the lights, because I have lots of LED light panels that I put on myself so that I have good lighting on my videos. Yeah, did you notice my halfway decent lighting in my videos? Yeah, you compare my video lighting to other folks' video lighting. It's pretty good. Anyway, so I have lots of lighting. I use 3-point lighting, obviously. I have lots of lighting going on, so I use the makeup powder to reduce the glare. but it also makes me look like 10 years younger. It crap you not, dude. This stuff, you put this stuff on and it just takes off 10 years off your face. I'm just like, wow, I look young, dude. I don't know that it's a matte finish. It's definitely matte. I don't know that it's I don't know that it's a foundation though. It's not a foundation. It's just something I don't know what the heck it's called. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is. I'm not a makeup guy. I just bought it once and I put it on. I bought it like 2 or 3 years ago and I just use it. I don't even know what it is anymore. Nathan, son of the South, thank you for the $5 super chat. Hey Luke, how are you? I'm good. I'm good too. Thank you, dude. Appreciate the $5, man. Welcome to the stream, dude. The 𝐑𝐄𝐒𝐒, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate that. John Paul Theron, also a member. Thank you. David Jones, thank you. Also became a member. Dude, like all 3 of you all just were members at the same time. Either you all clicked membership or it renewed at the same time because it literally just turned 8 o'clock. So my money is that you guys all had a reoccurring membership set up and it just happened to renew right now. That would be my money. Yeah, you have to wear, yeah, you wear makeup under stage lights. Yeah, yep. I'm gonna take a putty knife of makeup to make me look younger. Putty knife of it. Nice. You stopped getting carded? Oh, I don't get carded either. I actually did get carded. This was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. My wife and I went out somewhere to eat and I got carded and she wanted, the waitress wanted to see my identification, but usually I never get carded, which is startling because how young I look. We got that. Whee! Not a question. Thank you, Luke. Your advice has saved my game and my world from min-max video game mentality. Players also thanks for your gaming supplements. Cool. Well, thank you. I'm happy to hear that. So you must be getting like Lair magazine or something like that. So cool. I'm happy to hear that that's working out for you, dude. Lair magazine is so good. One of my team members likes to send me samples of what other people publish, and every time we look at both of them, we're both just like, yeah, ours is better. Obviously we're biased, but still. Oh, it's time to do a cat trip. I need more coffee too. Yes, Lair magazine is awesome. It's easy to use too. It's the adventures in Lair magazine are designed and written in a certain way to make it easy to use at the game table, so that the dungeon master can actually reference the material and find what they're looking for when they're running the game. There is a rationale behind how we write things in Lair magazine. There's totally a logic behind it. There are some adventures. There's one of them, especially in one of the published modules, that is so difficult to read and run at the game table. It's just a hot, sloppy mess. Let me show it to you. Let me show you a sloppy mess. Find it. Where is it? I don't know where I put this. Oh, here we go. My bookcase is getting like too small. And I realized that the color of my shirt and shorts is like clashing. It's like really bad. It's like I have a red shirt on and like yellow shorts and it doesn't match. It looks really stupid. And I apologize for that, but all of my black shorts were dirty. They were actually wet. I like washed them about 3 days ago, but I forgot to put them in the dryer. So all I had were these shorts and I realized they don't work very well with this shirt. So I'm sorry you had to look at my bad clothing choices today. Okay, this book, what we're gonna look at, the hot sloppy mess of an adventure. Let's go to this camera here. That's the wrong camera. Go to the right camera. All right, so in this book, like half of the adventures in this book are amazing. The other half are dumb. So the one we're gonna look at today is probably one of the worst adventures for me personally that I've ever read. Which one is it? The Hidden Shrine of 𝐑𝐄𝐒𝐒, or something like that. On page 61. It's just, I would hate to run this adventure for my players. I wouldn't do it. I would refuse to do it. There's no way. So basically, what would make this like absolutely hideous to run is you have like, I don't know if how well I can see this, but in this one room right here, you just have a crazy huge block of text describing all of the things in this room. Like, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff. And like you have more over here, just massive blocks of text describing the stuff. Look at this one right here. This is, oh my gosh, holy freaking crap balls. It goes on. So area 7 right here. Look at this. This whole page, massive block of text describing something in that room. Over here, massive block of text describing something in that room. How do you run this at a game table? There's way too much information here. There's too much detail. You can't run this. This is unrunnable. You're gonna have to, and it keeps going even more. And then we did it again. Area 11. Look at area 11. Look at this. Massive blocks of text. It's how do you possibly read this and prepare this and run this at a game table? Like it just astounds me. And there's more. I mean, there's more of just massive blocks of text. Like, I get that you're writing a very detailed setting and an adventure, and there's lots of stuff going on here. But if there's too much information, I can't run it at the game table. There's too much to absorb and remember and not forget and implement. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw out 80% of it and not even use it because I can't. It's too much. So this is an example of an adventure that is like unrunnable. Like you gotta throw out half of it or more to even be able to use it at the game table. So anyway, thank you. Now, I will say though, that adventures like that are what convince me that sometimes the people who are writing these adventures aren't actually writing them to be used at the game table. I think part of their writing these adventures are for people to just read them. Like they probably know that many people buy the books and read the books, but never actually run the games at the game table. And so they're like, well, we're just gonna write this adventure out, and we know that most people are gonna read it, but not run it. And so it makes good reading material. It's excellent reading material. I'm sure it's interesting. I'm sure all the details and stuff make for a very good thing to read, but it doesn't make it for a very good game to run. It's not written to be run at the table. It's written to be read by some passive dude who's just not gonna run the game. But that's not how an adventure should be written. It should be written to be ran at the game table, and it should be made so that you can easily reference it so you can prep your game quickly. Can you imagine prepping that adventure? How do you prep that adventure? There's like 40 different rooms. It's a non-linear dungeon, and some of the rooms have like an entire page or two of text describing different elements in that room. How do you prep that adventure for your players? It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Like these are the things you need to consider when you're writing an adventure. You know, that there were so many oversights in that. It's like, that's not even, no, it's just bad. It's bad for many reasons. Okay, I was gonna do a cat trip and I got distracted. Reed Lewis, thank you for becoming a member. All right, let's do a cat trip and we'll be back. Okay. Let's look at this. Coffee cam. Here we go. All right, so we're doing the cat trip. This is 100% certified cat crack, also known as catnip. Don't report me to YouTube. This is catnip. It's a legal addictive substance, just like caffeine. All right, just like caffeine, it's a legal addictive substance. And we are now going to give it to my cats, who are waiting for me. They're waiting. They're like, Luke, come on. All right, hold on. Hold on. I have, oh, here they come. I have the happy carrot and the banana. This banana has seen better days. This thing has gotten the crap chewed out of it. The happy carrot, well, he's kind of drooping. He's probably not as happy as he used to be. He's getting a little tarnished. He's got like cat juices that have saturated him multiple times. So he's not quite as happy as he once was. Catnip is actually non-addictive. Hey, Goliath Cleric, don't ruin my stream, man. Come on, trying to enjoy myself here, and you're pooping on my parade, man. All right, here we go. You guys ready? All right, here's the happy carrot. Here's the banana. Woo. All right, I'm gonna get some more coffee. I'll be right back. Morty. All right. Has everybody behaved? Wait, Danny is leaving? No, Danny. I'm gonna eat my last cookie. You've been drinking lots of water? My cats are enjoying their catnip. There goes Squeaky. Everyone was well behaved except for Danny. Okay, Corbin. That's a good question. Okay, I'll hit that one. Okay, so the question is, how do you prepare for running cities in your games? So to answer that question, I'm gonna literally show you how I prepared to run a city in one of my games. This is from my Ancient Dragon game, but there aren't really any spoilers, probably. Okay, so I use OneNote for almost everything, for notes and stuff. So I had my Ancient Dragon group was going to and so to prepare for them going to I got some basic information about itself, which is a country essentially. So basic information about that, and then they were going to the capital city, which is 𝐑𝐄𝐒𝐿. So that's where they were actually going to be. That's the city that I needed to run for them. And so I needed some basic information about 𝐑𝐄𝐿. And so basically, the first thing I needed to know was some basic, oops, it's too small. The districts, the different areas of the city. And so I read online and I got information about the basic districts. If this helps me to know where different things are, where the laborers are, where the poor people are, you know, where like new money is, where the graveyard is, where you're gonna find mercenaries and adventurers. All of these different things here help me to run that city. If people want to go do X, Y, and Z, I have information about where that would be located. Obviously, I have a map as well that I use. I have some basic information about what you're gonna find in the city when you go there, things about laws, and then I have a link to the wiki for it, which gives me a whole bunch of information too. Things that I used especially were information about the 𝐑𝐄𝐒 wizards. Different NPCs and groups in the city were important for me to prepare. So I wanted to know about the 𝐑𝐄𝐒 wizards and what their purpose was, and I wanted to know about the leadership. In particular, there are 5 families that rule the city essentially, and so I wanted to know about those. They're called the Council of 5. I figured that those would probably be, so I want to know some stuff about the government, the rulership of the city, the laws of the city, and when I was looking at the districts, I want to know where basic things are located, so when the players want to go a certain place. And once I have that information, and then I want to have a map, and I probably used a variation of this map that told me like where the different districts are. Once I had that information, that's all I really needed to be able to run the game, because all of the details I'm going to make up on the spot. My players went to one of the districts and they wanted to buy some clothing. They went to a jewel maker. I forget why they even went there, but all of these little like shops they went to and the NPCs that they interacted with, I made all that up on the spot. I don't need to have that detailed information planned out. It's like I just need for a city the big picture, the framework. What's the big solid columns that hold this city up? And then all the little details about the shops and the NPCs and the names and stuff, I make that up on the fly. Just make it up. There you go. And I make up a voice. And there you go. You got this shopkeeper. He's a jewel maker. You give him a voice. I give him mannerisms and stuff like that. Oh, the players liked him. Cool. And then they went to a seamstress to get some clothing made, and I played her like a snotty person, you know, and they didn't like her at all, and they want to go back to her shop and burn the shop down, basically. So, but those details I make up on the fly. So yeah, that's really all I need. That's what I do when I'm planning to run a city. If they're just going to be there for a little tiny bit, that's all I need, the framework. Why am I going to need any more details than that? Anything that they ask, anything that's needed can be made up on the fly, on the spot about that city. Now, if they're going to be in a city for longer than that, like my Waterdeep is the home base of the campaign, then I'm going to have more information about Waterdeep, like a lot more information. So in that case, I have an entire tab here with information about Waterdeep, and you can see there's overviews of Waterdeep. I have random encounters for Waterdeep. I have different groups and factions. I have Force Grey, I have the Harpers, I have law enforcement, I have other information about different people. Hey! In Waterdeep. places and NPCs. I have different information here. So I have an entire area about Skullport in case they go there. I have information about Xanathar because sometimes things happen with the Xanathar. So I have places of interest. Not a whole lot, apparently, just one. But anyway, if I'm actually going to run something in an ongoing place like Waterdeep, where they're going to be there a long time, then, and a lot of those things, by the way, all of those things I just showed you, I did not prepare those all in advance before as the campaign was going, as the game was running, things got created or things got researched and they got added in as they were needed. I didn't do that all up front. Those notes and all of that stuff evolved and was created over the course of gameplay as it was needed. And so now I have a lot of stuff I can reference and draw upon. So there's some strategies for you. Where's my thing? What am I looking for? Here we go. My players kidnapped an acolyte of Loviatar and won't give him back. Okay. Even his only family is in the cult. Should I just go with it? I don't know. I would roleplay the situation realistically. You know, is somebody looking for him? Is the Church of Loviatar going to send people looking for him, or are they just going to be like, meh, whatever? You might have people looking for him. Maybe they won't. The thing is, look it. In our modern society, like, if somebody gets kidnapped and goes missing, people go to the authorities and they're like, hey, this person was kidnapped. And then the police force is looking for this person, trying to track them down. That's not true 200, 300 years ago. That's not how it worked. Like, if your family member got kidnapped or even murdered or something like that, like in certain societies, in certain times in the past, it was up to the family to figure it out, to resolve the murder, to find them. The authorities weren't necessarily going to do that. Maybe in big, huge cities, they have like a more established police force, but outside of big, huge cities and stuff, you're kind of on your own. The law is only going to go so far in helping you. And so it depends on where your game is taking place. Maybe in that city or in that society, like, the authorities aren't going to go looking for somebody that got kidnapped. It's just not what they do. You know, so the priests of Loviatar, or maybe that person's family, might hire mercenaries, might hire people to track that person down, but they might not. Who knows? And so I think we need to, some of our assumptions about how things work are based upon how our current society works. And that's not necessarily true back in those times. Things worked differently. You know, they may have, it depends on how you run your game world. So I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think the way that you role play that out should be based upon how your world works in your given setting and stuff like that. It's a role playing question, in my opinion, not like, should I go with it or not? If that makes sense. Cups, welcome back. I don't know what we're talking about. I just say stuff. Data says, I feel like I introduced too many factions and storylines in my game. How do I reduce the mental load of my players without making them feel like I'm taking stuff away? Just stop focusing on all of them. So, okay, so you gave them like 10 different things. You were all like, whoa! You got all like hopped up on DM juice. And you just were like, yeah, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And then your players are like, dude, calm down. Well, then calm down. You know, don't stop focusing on 10 things and just focus on 2 factions and 2 storylines. And that's it. And so you're not taking things away. You just stop talking about them. You stop focusing on them. You put the focus on a couple things so your players can, you know, remain more focused on those things. And if a player asks you about something you had previously mentioned, oh yeah, it's still there, and blah, 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 blah. But you don't need to like draw attention to it. You just kind of quietly ignore it unless it gets brought up. That would be my suggestion. Hopped up on DM juice. Yeah, well, that's what we do, you guys. That's what we do. Sometimes as dungeon masters, we get hopped up on DM juice. We get super, super excited, and we're just like, oh my gosh, yes. have all of these magic items. This is gonna be amazing. And then later we're just like, that was a bad idea. Why did I do that? It's because we were hopped up on DM juice and we just couldn't help ourselves. And then when we like, you know, when we sobered up, we realized that, hey, that was not the best thing that I could have done there. And then we have to problem solve our own mistakes because we were impulsive and did something. And then we learned, ooh, that didn't work, or that's too much. Are we going to get a Wild Beyond the Witchlight review? I'm not really big into reviewing books. I'll tell you why. Nobody watches those videos. Nobody cares about that stuff. Like every time, like everybody does review videos. Like every channel in the world is like, oh, it's a new Wizards of the Coast book. Let's do a review on that. Like everybody does the reviews, you know? And so like, if you do a review video, it's not going to get a lot of people watching it. Like all of my review videos have had far fewer people viewing the videos, you know, than any of my other videos, really. And so there's a point where like when you're creating videos and you're doing things, there's a point where you do things because you want to, and who cares if people watch it? There's some of that, but there's also the part of you that's like, hey, if the majority of my audience wants a thing, maybe I should give them what they want. And if lots of people don't care about a thing, unless I really want to do it, then maybe I should stop doing that thing. And so it's not necessarily like just trying to get views. It's trying to make your customers happy, give your customers what they want. And so if I put out a video and I see that nobody watches the darn thing and nobody seems to care, and I say nobody, but what I really mean is like very, very few people compared to other ones. If I see like a low reception of something, well, that tells me that most of the people who watch my channel don't care about videos like that. And so maybe I'm better served doing different sorts of videos, you know? And honestly, yeah, so I tend not to do a whole bunch of review videos, in all honesty, because it doesn't perform very well. Yeah, I don't know. That's like my take on that. You are truly the best D&D guide. Like, what does that mean? Well, thank you, but I'm not sure what that means. Like giving the barbarian cloak of displacement. Oh yeah. Yeah, when I had, he wasn't a barbarian, he was a paladin. He was like a paladin sorcerer who could cast shield and had a high armor class to begin with. And I gave him the cloak of displacement. I never lived that down. That was a mistake I had to deal with for the entire campaign. I just ate crow. It's like, what are you gonna do, man? DM Cream, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. How do I help a player get over too awesome to use syndrome? Saving resources for a boss battle that won't come and hurts the party as a result. Okay, so there's two parts to that. There's a balance there. There's the one part of Luke that's like, hey, it's his character. Let him run his character the way he wants to run his character. There's the other part of Luke that's like, yes, but it hurts the rest of the party because this character is not contributing and everybody else has to pull his weight. And then they end up not using their resources and stuff. And so it kind of hurts the rest of the group. So I see both sides of that, right? They have a right to run their character the way they kind of want to run it, except that it's kind of impacting the game for everybody else. So probably what my approach would be, I would give some light proddings and some light suggestions to the player. For instance, after they've hoarded resources and not used anything, and they've gotten to the end of the adventure and like still have half of their spell slots left, I might just be something like, yo, Jim Bob, you know, I noticed that you never cast spells or you never use any resources at all in the adventure, and that most of your stuff gets unused. Like, if you don't want to use your stuff, that's fine. But it would help the party out if you were to use some of these things during the adventure. And if you're using some of your cool stuff, you might have fun and enjoy using it too, as opposed to kind of not getting to use any of your cool abilities like ever in the game because you hoard them all, or, you know. So I would just give some light suggestions, some very light advice, but it would be offered in a way that isn't at all trying to make them use their resources or cast their spells or whatever, but just kind of points out, it's kind of like showing the mirror to them, saying like, hey, I want you to know that this is kind of what I see happening. So you do what you want to do, but consider the fact that you never use your resources, and it might help the party out, one, to use them more, and two, you might have fun using them as well, as opposed to not. So I would point those things out, but not at all, like trying to force them to use the resources. So that's probably as far as I would go. And if they decided to not change, then that's kind of their prerogative. I don't feel that that crosses into the territory of like ruining other players' fun, you know? It's not that grave where it's like they're committing some crime and ruining the game for others. I don't think it's that grave. Not that particular situation. All right, sweet. I answered that one. Got it. Ken, thank you, sir, for the $10 super chat. I love your content. Well, thank you, sir. Even though you have only played since high school, you punch well above your weight. I only played since high school. I know lots of people have played since middle school, and they have me beat. It's all right. I'm just gonna change my tagline. It's gonna be middle school now. I'm gonna get all my shirts changed. My new tagline is gonna be, I've been a dungeon master since middle school. I'm gonna change it up. Max Hurst says, hey Luke, I was wondering if your latest video was a spoof on the Dungeon Dudes. Was due to their views on min-maxing or their clashing personalities? No, I just picked somebody. I literally was like, hey, I want to start doing spoofs on other people, on other channels. I want to start doing this. I think this would be funny and this would be fun for me. And so then I was like, who should I do first? And I was like, oh, let's just do the Dungeon Dudes. How would I shoot that video? Okay, do I have all the equipment I need? Oh, this is pretty easy. Yeah, side by side, editing it. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. I literally just picked somebody. There was no like, you know, like, who do I not like? It had nothing to do with that, you know. It was like, who do I want to make? Yeah, it was just like, who should we do? Dungeon Dudes. Okay, yeah, let's do one of their videos. Great, awesome. And then do I poke fun at some things? Sure. You know, is there a disproportionate amount of videos that happen to deal with min-maxing? Yeah. Okay, let's poke fun at that. Okay. Are their personalities like very different? Okay. I'm literally doing a spoof video, so I'm gonna mimic their personalities. That's what I'm gonna do. One of them is more serious and tends to look at the camera a lot. I'm gonna exaggerate that. Okay. One of them is much more expressive. I'm gonna exaggerate that. And I tried to find clothing that mimicked some of the clothing they tend to wear, at least in the video or two that I watched. You know, I don't watch a lot of people's videos. I just kind of like, so I keyed in on some things and then I exaggerated. And that's where the humor comes in. It's the exaggeration, you know? So I was just having fun, you know? It wasn't like singling somebody out because I don't like them. It was just, who are we gonna do? Oh, okay, cool. Now how are we gonna do it? Ah, okay. So that's all it was. The Country Gardener, that skit was so great. I love the Dungeon Dudes. Yeah, I was doing my best. Ed Robinson says, I'm the elder statesman of the DM Lair. Is there ever a point which the players should tell the DM the campaign is over? Probably. Example, 6+ sessions of one person talking and the rest of the party is doing solo activities and working against others. Yeah, I would walk away. The way you paint it, I would probably be like, hey guys, I don't know what we're doing here, but this is not what I'm looking for. Have fun. I would put it nicely, but I would probably walk away from something like that. So yeah. I mean, sometimes, you know, sometimes people don't know how to run games and it turns out to just kind of not be a game. And I've seen people at game shops before and it looks like they're running Dungeons and Dragons, but I have no idea what they're actually doing. I'm like, I see D&D books on the table. I don't know what they're doing. It doesn't look like any D&D game I've ever actually seen, but I don't know. Maybe they run D&D a different way than I'm used to. I'm just not sure what they're doing. I've seen games like that. Fry Minis, thank you for the $5 super chat, dude. Hey, beefcake. What does that mean? What does that mean when you call somebody beefcake? I'm gonna have to Google that. Beefcake. Somebody just called me beefcake. An attractive man with well-developed muscles. Look at that. That's right. Here are the images. Oh, they're like super muscular images too. Check this out. They're like, I'm not gonna click on any of these. I don't want to make them too big, but they're like these guys with like, look at my rippedness here. I don't look like that. Trust me. I hope you celebrate Bander Hobtober this month. Shout out to all of my B-hobs. I don't even know what the heck that is. You're gonna make me do another Google search. You've made me do 2 Google searches now. What is Bander Hobtober? What the heck is that? Bander Hob. Oh, it's a the D&D monster. Oh yeah. These guys are cool. So it must have something to do with these guys. These guys are cool. Bander Hobtober. I'm not familiar with Bander Hobtober. Look, well, we're celebrating it right now. Eee. And thank you for the $5. Dreamcake, thank you for the $5 super chat. Sorry if this was already asked. I'm looking to make a homebrew world campaign. How do I make it professional looking to sell? So this is a big topic. I can't give you anything and everything that I would have to talk about this. I'll give you some highlights. So if I were developing, so I do develop things to sell, game products to sell, modules, adventures, stuff like that. So this is the strategy I take. Before I've done any of that, I go to the stuff that's already being published and I say, hey, I need my stuff to look as good as that looks. Just look. Visually, it needs to be as appealing to the eye as their stuff looks. Okay, cool. Can I do that? No, I can't. Okay, cool. I need to find people who can do that so that they can do it for me and then I pay them. All right, because if a product doesn't look good, if it isn't appealing to the eye, it kind of doesn't matter how well it's written or how good the information is. A lot of people are just going to toss it out. So I think that's it. Is it fair? No. You could say it's not, but the competition is strong. And so you need to have your product be appealing to the eye. So interior layout and design, artwork, stuff like that. Those are all important considerations. If you can't do it yourself, you hire somebody else to do it. I hire people to do it. I have a guy who I pay a pretty good chunk of money to do the interior layout for Lair magazine every month. I have people like graphic designers that did the layout for Into the Fae and those sorts of things. I pay them to do that because do I know InDesign? Yes. Could I do it in InDesign? Yes. Would it look as good as what they did? No. Do I have the time to do it? No. So I pay other people to do it. So when you're looking to publish something and you want to make it look professional and you want it to be professional, like there are some things that you can do yourself that you're good at. Great, you do those things. Like, I'm a good writer. I can write stuff. Okay, yay. So I did almost all of the writing for Into the Fae. But I do very little writing for Lair magazine because I don't have the time. And so I pay other people to do the writing. And honestly, I think it works better that way because we get a confluence of creative minds and come up with content that is amazingly creative and awesome, better than I could do myself, because it's just, I only have so much creativity up here. And when you have a bunch of different writers writing stuff, you get just, I think it's better. I think it's better that way. So that's one thing. Pay other people to do things you're not good at yourself, and your product needs to look good. It also needs to like actually work. Like, okay, so if somebody looks at it and they're like, yay, this looks good, when they actually start reading it and the content is like subpar and the content isn't good, then that's a problem too. So the actual content needs to be good. And if you're doing a setting, like, what are we going to put in the content? What are we going to put in the setting? Well, again, look and see what's already been published out there. What do people usually put in setting books? What kind of information is needed? When you're a dungeon master, when you're looking at a setting book, what do you want in the setting book? And put those things in there. And then you need to make sure that it's well written. It has good information. So if you're not a good writer, and here's the thing, this is the catch-22. Many people think they're good writers, but they're not. And there's some people who think they're bad writers, but they're actually good writers. So it's hard to know if you're a good writer or not, because writers, everybody's like, well, I can write. No, not everybody can write, not at the same level. So the writing needs to be good. So, if you can't write, then you get somebody else to write. You probably need an editor. I have exquisite grammar and writing ability because I have tons of experience doing it. I used to be an English teacher and stuff, so I can do that. But I still pay editors. Even if I write something and I know that it's well written and I've checked the grammar and everything is really good, I still pay editors. I still pay them. For Into the Fae, I had 2 editors. I had either Danny or Penguin Butt was editing stuff, and then I still sent it to a second editor, Laura, who edited everything a second time, because I'm trying to make that quality, right? I'm trying to get it to where it's like top notch, as good as possible, because the competition is very strong. So I don't know. There's a bunch of different things to think about. You're trying to get something to look good and have the content be good. And so there's some thoughts for you. And thank you for the $5 super chat. Nixon says, I can't wait for the creation streams on Twitch with the DM Lair crew. Oh yeah, when they're all gonna be here? Yeah. Ken says, to be honest, for what you get, Luke provides a ton of great materials for DMs of all levels. And now that he is planning one-shots with members of This Is Huge. Oh, are you guys talking about the Patreon? Oh yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. My patrons get so much content. They get Lair magazine, they get map packs, they get additional D&D adventures. They get tons of great content, and it's well written. It's it's really well produced stuff. It's not garbage. Some people produce stuff that's not good. Our stuff is really good. Obviously, I'm biased, but it's really good. And I'm now running D&D games for my patrons as well. Every single month. I'm like plugging my Patreon now, but that's fine. Every single month I'm gonna be running a D&D one-shot game, and I will pull the players from my patrons. So every single month, a different set of patrons is gonna get pulled to play in the game with me. I'm running the game, obviously. So yeah, obviously, you're not gonna get picked every month because, it's it's one game a month, but you know, eventually, hey, you might get to play. And while you're waiting to get into the game, you're getting a whole bunch of DM resources to help you run your own games. Dream Cream, thank you for the $2 super chat. The barbarian is the best boy. He deserves hugs. I really like hugs too. I could just wrap me in a big hug, and I'll squeeze and I'll squeeze and I'll squeeze until your head pops off, and then I'll take your head and I'll hit it into the ground and bury it so hard with one gigantic slam like that. And then we will dispose of the rest of your body in a very respectful way. So yes, I like hugs. Thank you. Yes, Penguin Bus says we're very biased, but we're also because we're proud of our work and we want to produce the best we possibly can. Yeah. All right. Talk about killing me with kindness. Oh yeah, I love killing things, especially my bestest of friends. I will totally kill you. If you come to LairCon, I will give you a big hug and slam your face into the ground. And then I'll go to jail, but it'll be worth it. Yeah. By the way, LairCon, today is the last day to buy tickets for LairCon. So if you want to come play D&D with folks and hang out with me and stuff, LairCon, it's the place to be. It's next week, next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm still looking forward to it. It's gonna be so much fun. What did Amber say? He will name you George. Yes, George. I have a squirrel named George, you guys. I have a squirrel named George. Deanie is loving the vibe. Nice. Thank you. We're awesome. All right, let's see if we got any more stuff going on here. What are the pitfalls of homebrewing? Depends on what you're homebrewing. There are different types of homebrewing. There are different types of homebrewing, and some homebrewing is more risky than others. If you're homebrewing adventures, the risk is low, because what's the worst that's gonna happen? They're gonna play through an adventure and it might not be that great. Okay, well, you'll learn from that and you'll make your next one better. Okay, maybe you overbalance some encounters and they almost die. Okay, it's 5th edition. Like, it's really hard to die permanently in 5th edition, so not a whole lot to worry about. Now, so homebrewing adventures, not that big of a deal. Homebrewing a puzzle, not that big of a deal. Those are low risk things that there's absolutely a path to recovery. Now, if you're homebrewing something like a class, that's a lot more risky. That's a whole lot more risky to homebrew a class, because once they've decided to be that class, it's not going away anytime soon. You got to live with it. Now, you might say, hey, this is a beta. We're going to test it and make tweaks to it as we go. That's fair, but players will still feel like it's being nerfed when you discover that it's way too powerful. Or if you don't have the, wherewithal to actually make changes to it and nerf it when it needs to be nerfed, then you end up with a class that's way more powerful. Classes persist throughout a lot of the game, and so there's more risk to homebrewing something like a class. If you're homebrewing a spell, that's going to persist throughout the entire game, so there's more risk to homebrewing that sort of thing. So certain homebrewing is more risky than others, is what I would say. The things that we generally produce, for instance, in Lair magazine, that sort of homebrew is much more low risk because it gets used once or twice and then it kind of goes out of the game. Now, we do produce spells and magic items. Those are more risky because those are going to persist longer. But spells and magic items are probably less impactful to the game, mostly, depending, of course, than something like a class, I would say. So there are different levels of homebrewing and different pitfalls associated with them. The biggest pitfall of homebrewing is not understanding like the game rules well enough, and then homebrewing something that doesn't work for different reasons, and you not being aware of it, and then it ends up breaking the game or throwing the game off and stuff, and then you don't know how to fix it because you just don't know how the rules work well enough. And it's like you're not a mechanic and you started tinkering with your engine in your car. You have no idea what you're doing. There was a funny noise, and so you just started doing stuff, but you don't know how to fix a car and you end up breaking it worse. And it didn't, like I remember once when I was in high school, my dad, he was doing something to our furnace, and he noticed that there was a belt. Now my dad is a mechanic. My dad was a car mechanic, okay? And so in cars, I guess, you know, a loose belt is not a good thing. You don't want your belts being loose, I think. So he was doing something with our furnace, and he noticed that one of the belts was loose. And he's like, huh, that's not good. I need to tighten that belt up. And so he tightened that belt up. Well, guess what? It turned out that that belt should have been loose like that. It was supposed to be loose. And he ended up breaking the furnace, and the furnace wouldn't work. And then the repair person came to like fix the furnace, and he's like, hey, this furnace is not safe. I cannot repair this furnace because I would be putting this furnace into operation and it could potentially catch your house on fire. So like, I'm not touching this. You need a new furnace. Like, I think the furnace was so old that there was parts of it that were, the metal was like rusting away or something and exposing certain things. I don't remember the details, but it was like unsafe. And so he wouldn't fix it. And so like, we had no heat in our house for like, I don't know. And it was winter and stuff. And so then my dad, we had a kerosene furnace that he would use out in the garage. What he did is he, in the shell of the normal furnace in the house that runs on like, you know, normal natural gas, in the shell inside of it, he emptied it out, took the kerosene furnace from the garage, put it inside the house furnace, and then ran the kerosene furnace in there and circulated that through the house so that we would have heat. Okay, so all of that resulted from him tinkering around with something in the furnace that he didn't know anything about. And he made the whole thing worse because he shouldn't have been screwing around with that belt when you don't know how to fix furnaces. Okay, so that was my story illustration for how homebrewing stuff, you could break things. It could happen. Not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be aware that if you don't know what you're doing, you could have unexpected consequences that you might have to fix later. It sounds like a massive money loss for no reason. If you're talking about the furnace, it might have been good though, because it sounded like the furnace was so old and unsafe that if it had continued running, it could have caused a fire or something. I don't know. But it was crazy. It was this crazy chain of events. And the next thing you know, there's like a kerosene furnace in the shell. It was totally like the do-it-yourself fix job. At least you're alive. I know. Oh. It's the you tried to fix it first fee plus $75. Yeah, you know, there's a saying out there that has so much validity. If it's not broke, don't fix it. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Don't fix it. I have ignored that sound advice sometimes in my life, to my regret thereafter. Caillou Death Dragon, thank you for the $5 super chat. Do you know of any great DMs in Washington State for new players, like a place I can go to? Not offhand. I could fly up there and survey some people. No. My recommendation for you is maybe go to my Discord server. We have a channel there where you can try to find players or DMs and stuff. You can also, you know, I'll recommend this with a grain of salt. What is the name of it? Reddit. Reddit has an LFG subreddit where you can find people to play in games. You can find online games, and you can find in-person games, and you can post that you're looking for a dungeon master in your specific area and maybe get somebody. You know, but it's Reddit, you know, and the community there is probably not usually the most nicest in the world. So just, you know, take that with the, you know, walk into it with your eyes open sort of thing. I swear, sometimes there are some places on Reddit I haven't been to Reddit in a long time. I gave up on that stuff. There are some places in there where it's like, let's just see how despicable human beings we could possibly be. in the pursuit of karma. Like, it's so ironic. It's like, how mean can I be to people and how unwelcoming and nasty can I be? And, you know, talk down to them and make them belittle them and make them feel unimportant in the pursuit of karma. It's such a, it's so like, what is the word for it? Toxic. Yeah. It's just so like everybody, my experience with Reddit. Sorry. Not all subreddits are like that, but too often, I think there are gatekeepers out there. So you'll post something, and then there are gatekeepers who will just be, they'll literally just sort by new, and they'll see if you're worthy of posting there. And if they don't think they like you, they like say something very negative, and then like everybody piles onto them too. So I don't know. I think they're going for karma or something. I don't even know what they get from karma, but there are people that are like, look at all my karma. I don't know. Fry Minis, thank you for the $5 super chat. What do you do if your DM spends 90 minutes vigorously role-playing a love scene between two NPCs every week? And what if that DM is the dungeon coach? Tell him to stop. Tell him to stop. Hey. We don't need that. We don't need that. I don't think the dungeon coach is doing that, though. Be like, hey, it's not appropriate. Go take this somewhere else. We don't want to see that. That's what you do. Oh, I have a better answer. Time out! Time out! That's what you do. That's probably what you were fishing for. Somebody please clip this and show the dungeon coach. He and I are tight. He and I are buds. He's probably gonna be at LayerCon too. He just told me he was probably gonna be able to come. Anyway, he and I talk all the time, and I was talking with him about the spoof videos that I'm doing, and I was telling him, I'm like, dude, you know I'm gonna do one on you, and you know that I'm gonna go crazy on the timeouts. And he's like, yeah, I know. You have to watch the dungeon coach, some of his videos. He has a timeout thing that he does in his videos. Oh, Dark Helmet playing with his dolls? Yeah. Ugh. Okay. Minotaur of Malice, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. I appreciate that. Have you used the inspiration cards from Roll20 before? Nope, I don't even know what those are. More of a recommendation conversation point. Okay, well, thank you. I will someday I might have time to go look at that and see what that is, but I appreciate the idea. I don't even know what those are. You need to get him to play 3.5 because lots of his new homebrew rules are 3.5 rules. Well, 3.5 was like a very much more fleshed out system, like lots more rules. It was very rules heavy, we say. And so if he's homebrewing a lot of rules, he's going toward the rules heavy way of doing things, you know. Which would definitely make it feel like 3.5 because that's how that system was. It was very rules heavy. How is George the squirrel doing? George the squirrel is doing awesome. He is getting bigger and bigger. He nibbles on my fingers. He like when I wake him up from his little nest, he'll wake up, he'll look at me, he'll stretch. Like he'll do this little stretch. You know, he'll be like, "Hi, Daddy." He's stretching, and then he'll come up to me and he'll be like, "No." He'll bite my finger and stuff. And I'm like, "George, stop that." And then he's getting fast too. Squirrels are extremely dexterous. They have like a dexterity of 20, like they're born with it. So he'll be like, go up my arm, and I'm just like, whoa, George, hold on a second. And dude, squirrels have like their climbers. Holy crap balls. They got hands and feet that were engineered for climbing. Somebody designed these squirrels with climbing in mind. Oh my, he's like upside down on my arm, like, haha, I have you. Yeah, it's crazy. Can you show us George? Oh, I knew somebody was gonna ask that. I'll try to. I'll be right back. I'm gonna show you my cats. I'll see if we can show you George. I can't promise it though. I have to be very careful that he doesn't get out because I have 7 murderers that live in my household, also called cats. I'll be right back. All right, I'm gonna try to get this situated here. Georgie, wow. I'm working on it. His house is getting bigger and bigger. Georgie. 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 What's up, buddy? Georgie. Come here, Georgie. Come here, Georgie. Georgie. He's hiding. Come here, Georgie. What's up, buddy? He's biting me. Georgie. Ow. Georgie. Georgie. There's his stretch. Georgie. Ow. Georgie. What are you doing, Georgie? What's up, Georgie? He just bites me. Quit biting me. That's his style. Hey, Georgie. He wants food. He's just nibbling. He's nibbling on me. That's his stretch right there. What's up, Georgie? What's up, Georgie? How's Georgie doing? He's Georgie. Ow, Georgie. All right, that's Georgie. See? He's adorable. He's hiding though. He's in Fort Knox right now, so the cats can't get to him. All right, I'm gonna put him back. I'll be right back. Oh, so our squirrel resulted because my wife was going to work one day and she saw this little tiny wrinkly animal like in our driveway. Didn't know what it was. She thought it was dead and she went to pick it up and it was alive and moving. And so she brought it into me in the morning and was like, look. And we didn't know what it was, all wrinkly and stuff. Eyes are closed and stuff. And so we started taking care of it. And now we have George. So that's the story. And now obviously he's very adorable. He's very adorable. He always nibbles on my fingers. He's like, nah, 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 nah. He's like testing me out to see if I'm good food or not. Or it's like a love nip. I don't know. So all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are done. That is it for the live stream tonight. Thank you for hanging out. I usually do a live stream almost every week, usually. Sometimes we're on Twitch. Sometimes we come here on YouTube. So I'll see you next time. There might be a link to my Twitch channel so you can follow me there, just because we don't always do it on YouTube. Sometimes we're on Twitch for it. And remember, LairCon, if you want to come, today's the last day to get your tickets. So jump in on that stuff. And that's it. I'm done going to bed and stuff. So thank you for hanging out. It's been lots of fun. I'll see you all next time. Bye. Bye.